your body just dripping diamond.
My ID starting salary is 150, and I believe in every company, if they should be paying individual or average Nigerian people to be collecting that such amount of salary, I think it will be beneficial for the citizen.
I would say a typical Nigeria working on a day-to-day job, I would say my salary will be nothing less than 70 to 80,000 naira. Because of my skills, I would say I'm a professional cleaner, though I own a cleaning company, but because of my skills and everything, I would say my salary will be like, if I'm working for someone, it would be like 70 to 80,000.
Presently, our ideal salary is 100,000. My best work experience is a sales consultant, and I love the work presently, and the work is making me to have boldness to talk to people. Like, I've gone to several places that I've never been before. I've talked to people that's not even up to my caliber, and I've mingled a lot with kind of big men.
At least with the recent condition of this our country, if the minimum wage should be between a region of 60,000, at least for a start now, compared to the inflation we are facing now, the cost of living, accommodation and other charges. So at least for a start, 60,000 is not bad.
To me, probably if I say like 180,000 naira is manageable, that's as the way the country is right now. It's better than just sitting at home or for me to being frustrated and misbehaving. So instead of that, so let me just doing it. At least I can see at the end of the day, I won't be able to save anything down. I'll be able to use it to eat. That's all.
If you pay me 1 billion naira, I will not mind. If you pay 1 million a week, I will not mind. But the point remains, we are running an economy that ought to have grown. I don't belong to the class that say a growing economy. We ought to have grown. We are an overfed baby as far as Nigerian economy is concerned. Howbeit, given the society we are in today, some of the boys, I call them boys, at the National and even the State Assembly, earn close to 2-3 million naira a month. So for some of us who've paid our dues, especially in the media, if going by the standard of living in this country today, 1 million naira will not be a bad idea.
My ideal working salary has been from 200 to 400 to get, and that's what I prefer to always get from any company, because I'm always a strategist. I render solutions to companies on how the company can move ahead as well there.
Abraham, Moses, Jacob, you are one family.
There's no doing all this sport in Nigeria.
See how your body just dripping diamond.
And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga. Having concluded the process of selecting their candidates, the stage is now set for Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and main opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, to deploy strategies at their disposal to outwit each other.
businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Here are success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your
As Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa is unveiled as Atiku Abubakar's running mate, the former vice president gives his reasons for his selection. And Northern Group urges Murik and Khan to form their own political party. This is Plus Politics. I am Mary Anacon. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has given reasons for picking Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as his running mate for the 2023 presidential elections. He gave the reasons in his remarks at the unveiling of Okowa as his running mate at the PDP national headquarters in Abuja. Okowa and his River State counterpart, Nyesom Wike, were the two governors speculated to be considered for the slot. Joining us to discuss these are political analysts Dayo Kayode and Opunabo Inko Taria. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Yes, good evening, Marianne and Nigerians.
All right, great. I'll start with you, Opunabo. Governor Nyesom Wike seemed to be the touted one at the time. He seemed to be the one that was on everybody's lips as to who could be the favored vice presidential candidate. In fact, up until the moment where the governor of Delta State was announced, lots of people believed that it would be Nyesom Wike. But then, of course, Governor Okowa emerged as the running mate for Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And I'm wondering, of course, the question in everybody's mind is, was this a strategic move or was this an election-winning move?
Well, Marianne, in the choice of a vice presidential candidate, penetrating thought is given to a whole lot of issues. The capacity, the personnel, the reach. Of course, when we talk of capacity, I'm talking of financial, I'm talking of legitimacy, which is acceptability. We are talking of reach. We are talking of somebody that will add value to the presidency and to the campaign first before the presidency, if eventually they win the forthcoming general elections. So you have the portmanteau of issues that is being taken under advisement. And the presidential candidate will definitely want somebody that he can confide in, somebody that will be, because your vice president ought to be likened to your wife, somebody that you're comfortable with. There is that what you call compatibility, you know, somebody that even when you're out of the country, you're at peace, your mind is at rest, that nothing untoward will happen. So you see a whole lot of issues. Some are signposted by Atiku, some will not be said on air, but they are actually being considered in the choice of a vice president, of a running mate. I remember one of the governors, a former president said to him, I want Mr. A to be a deputy governor. And the governor said, no. There's a likelihood that Mr. A was going to kill me because my deputy governor in order to take over. So there are so many considerations in the choice of a deputy, of a running mate. And I think all these issues would have been considered. Most of them would have been considered, and Mr. Atiku Alhaji Abubakar Atiku felt the person he would be quite comfortable with is Okowa.
Okay. Mr. Kayode, let's look at the fact that let's look at the notoriety between these men. In fact, at some point, the governor of Akwa Ibom State seemed to have been in the mix. You know, he was called as one of the people that was approved by the National Working Committee. And so we had an Okowa, and Nyesom Wike, and probably the Udom Emmanuel. But then in terms of strategy of winning, knowing that the 2023 elections is going to be a very interesting one, and of course the best man has to win, and then it means that the parties have to have strategic moves or measures in place to win this election. So looking at the spread of Governor Wike and Governor Okowa, between these two gentlemen, wouldn't Wike be a better person to run with in terms of reaching all the way across the country? But again, I just want you to tell me what you think the difference between Okowa and Wike is, and why you think he was the best choice for the vice president.
You see, when you are trying to compare people for a particular position, whoever could be penciled down must have shown some kind of dexterity to be able to hold onto that position. What I'm trying to say is there's no doubt about it. Both Wike and Okowa are both qualified to occupy the position of running mate to His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. But either we like it or not, one person will have to be chosen. And in choosing one out of these two names we've mentioned, the PDP leadership, in their own wisdom, set up a committee to try as much as possible to interrogate not even only Wike and Okowa, but I think about 4 or 5 people. All right? But one way or the other, there will be a little thing that is standing somebody out. And between you and me, that is in the area of technical know-how. Technical know-how. Abubakar Atiku is a politician to the core. Wike is a politician to the core. But when you look at the antecedent and political trajectory of Ifeanyi Okowa, you find out that he is a technocrat. Bearing in mind that even the president, the flag bearer of PDP, in person of His Excellency Abubakar Atiku, when he was the vice president to Baba Obasanjo there, he was instrumental to bringing in a lot of technocrats into that government, in person of people like Okonjo-Iweala. You know where Okonjo-Iweala is now. In the person of people like Zekwe Zile and all that. So, he himself, Atiku, is looking for somebody who in future can even stand up to say, yes, I want to be the next president. And as a vice president, he must be able to stand in whenever the president is outside of the country. That is one. Two, when you also look at the kind of body composture of Ifeanyi Okowa, you find out that he has a kind of a resemblance to that of Atiku Abubakar. So to a very large extent, you can see the way you can be able to predict if eventually the two of them occupy that position in Aso Rock, one will now be able to foresee the kind of government that we are going to have. And again, when you also look at national cohesion and then balancing of the political equation in Nigeria towards winning election, because every party exists to win election, and there is no flag bearer at this point that we want to lose this election. So you want to look at somebody that will be having very high electoral value.
Okay.
You're going to see that Okowa are before now being in the legislature. Being in the central legislature, that means he has that federal outlook already.
Okay.
He must have made a lot of inroads into people that are also having electoral value within their constituencies in the nation. So these are part of the things that were being considered to now be able to come up with Ifeanyi Okowa as a running mate to Atiku.
Let me go back to Opunabo. Opunabo, let's talk about the fact that many have seen the position of a vice president as a yes position. And just like Mr. Kayode has said, Okowa seems to have the same kind of demeanor, according to him, as to that of the former vice president. But then, going beyond the demeanor here, we're talking about winning elections. Is this a winning team? Because we're yet to hear the announcements of other political parties and their running mates. We're talking about the APC, we're talking about the Labour Party, we're talking about the NNPP and others. Today is supposedly the deadline. Does this look like a winning team to you? And if this is... Go ahead.
The other political party is still floundering in the selection process, and I don't know why. And I think, I'm talking of the APC, and I think that is mainly because the standard bearer is a Muslim and from the south. So you need a Christian from the north, and that's why they're every morning the Muslim candidate, because you need somebody from the north to balance the political equation and to also get more votes. Now, having said that, let's get back to the question you asked as the issue of Okowa. I thought you were talking of the political strength or the value it's going to add. Am I right?
Yes.
Good. Now, don't forget that, first and foremost, you need somebody. Let me go back to why he was even chosen. You need somebody with a near impeccable, courteous public persona, and Okowa fits in. Now, Okowa and Wike has had this running battle with his brother government. Don't forget that if you remember when Peter Obi visited the PDP headquarters to declare his intentions, or was it to pick his fault? He said, I like you because you address issues and not attack persons. That was an innuendo. He's having a running, and don't forget that these governors, whether you like it or not, have a say, as far as the PDP governors have a say in who will be a running mate. Although Atiku has the final say, but definitely they will be consulted. And you are having issues. Even the Atiku himself, made some snide comments against Atiku. And do you think that they have consigned those issues into oblivion? They have not. And they want somebody that will be presidential in nature, not abrasive, not brash.
So you're saying that the governor of River State does not have a demeanor of doesn't have a presidential demeanor, and you're also saying that he's abusive?
General perception. Yeah, they say, oh, he's bold, he's this. But your choice of words, and you know there are certain offices you occupy that all eyes must be on you. Okay, look at you go to church, you say, thunder fire you. Those are not the kind of things that should come out from the mouth of a governor. Not at all. You attain a particular height and you choose your words, like we say in communication, the right words from the word basket. Because that will, the very large extent, define who you are, define your character. You know, so a whole lot of issues. Even the Atiku himself, he has sailed. Atiku will not come out to tell you, oh, this man said this against me. Therefore, I will not select him because the whole world will condemn him for being myopic. Then if you also talk of the rich, Okowa has the rich. Is it because he did not contest? Today we are all shouting, no, Wike has the grassroots, because he contested. Okowa did not contest. That does not mean he doesn't have the rich. And Okowa is a bridge between the south and the east. He's an Igbo man in Delta State. He's from Igbo origin in Delta State. It's like a Kalabari man. You have the Kalabari in Abonima, you have the Kalabari in Buguma, you have the Kalabari in Degema. So to a very large extent, Okowa has also placated the East. To some extent, if you talk of the rich, if you look at his demeanor. So you cannot say, when you talk of the political rich, Wike has more, larger. No, it's not possible. Wike is being said of Wike because he contested. If Okowa had contested, of course, we don't know what would have happened as well. You know, so these are some of the issues that the presidential flag bearer would have taken into consideration. And again, the lieutenants, advisors, friends, and so on would have demonstrated, because, look, for you to emerge, there must be a unique selling point. Yes, you're all qualified, but what is that unique selling point that A has and the others lack? That is the truth about it. And that is what has happened. They have considered all this before settling for Okowa. And of course, when we talk of Okowa, like Kayode rightly said, he was a legislator. He was the governor. I don't want to talk of commissionership because, of course, that has to be state. But he has friends that cut across.
Okay.
So the man Okowa is somebody that is being appreciated by majority. He has no issues with his brother governors. None. So it is easy for the brother governors to support both the Okowa and the Okowa and Atiku ticket because he has no issues with them. No running battle, no friction. Okay. The committee definitely would have considered a whole lot of them. Even though they will not come on air to say, they definitely would have considered a whole lot of them before settling for Okowa.
Okay, let me come back to you, Mr. Kayode. Interestingly, just as Opunabo has said, he has some political strength around the border states. Do you see an Okowa able to split? Because we also see, let's not forget that we have a Peter Obi who's a core Southeasterner. And Opunabo made a case of him being able to convince the border states to vote for the Atiku Okowa ticket. How easy will it be for this duo to break even in the South-South and the Southeast? Not necessarily the Southwest, because we also know that there is a Tinubu, who is from the Southwest. But how powerful will these duo be in breaking even around majorly within the South?
You see, let me quickly chip in this. The USP for somebody like Peter Obi is that the youth are saying is youthful, and they are looking at his economic acumen. Do you know that even if you have to look at that, Okowa is even more youthful than Peter Obi? When you put the two of them side by side, and then you engage them on how to solve the problem of Nigerian economy, do you know that Okowa will stand very tall? Now that in their own wisdom, the leaders and elders of PDP had put the name of Okowa forward, and knowing fully well the kind of government that he wants to form. You should listen to him very well, his speech after being given the ticket of PDP. He considered that the day he's sworn in, he wants to start immediately. Now, because of that, do you think I need astronomy? And that's what in Okowa. All these things we are trying to speak about or speculate, we might not, or even viewers might not understand until when the proper campaign starts here in this country. Then you will be able to assess and evaluate what Ifeanyi Okowa is made of. Again, when you look at Okowa, look at that name, Ifeanyi. It's an Igbo name. There's a kind of affinity, closeness between his own south and southeast. I remember the other time when he was being sworn in for the fourth.
Mr. Kayode, are you still there? Because I wanted to ask a quick question. When you talk about a name, is it the names that Nigerians are voting for, or are we looking at ability to deliver? Because you keep saying, oh, he's from the southeast. Unfortunately, I think we have lost that connection. But let me throw it back to you, Opunabo. Nigerians have gotten to a point where they're no longer voting based on sentiments. We have been sentimental over the past 8 years, 7.5 years running. Do you think that it's just the name? It's just the fact that, oh, he has an Igbo name or a Southeastern name that would give votes to the PDP? Again, I'm talking strategy here.
No, Marianne, I think what the point is trying to make is trying to underscore the fact that he's an Igbo man when he talks of the name. Otherwise, I mean, you have people from River State answering Cross River name, answering Yoruba names and so on. So that, I think what the point is trying to make actually is that he's not just an Igbo man from Delta State, but bearing the Igbo name. I think that's the point he's just trying to make. But the truth about it is that Okowa is from the Igbo-speaking part of Delta State. You know, it's like you have the Jaws in Ondo, you have the Jaws in the West. You can't say because they're in the West, they are not the Jaws. When it has to do with Ijaw National Congress, when it has to do with Ijaw Nation, of course they participate. They've even held offices. So that's the point we're trying to make. We have Ijaws in Rivers, you have Ijaw in Bayelsa. So you have Igbo in Anambra, Igbo in Enugu, Igbo in Imo. You also have Igbo in Delta. So he's an Igbo man in Delta.
I'm sorry, you're saying the same thing again and again, just as he said. We're emphasizing on the ethnicity. We understand that, fair and clear. But how does this mix with getting votes? How does this get us, or get the PDP the winning votes that they're looking for?
Because the point we are making is this. It is Okowa will be more accepted by the Igbos.
Why?
Than any other. Why? Because he's one of them. That's the point. He's one of them. He's an Igbo man. If he goes to Imo State, if he goes to Anambra, he's going to speak. Because I think they have the Okowa's Igbo in Delta has the same dialect, not just language, with the Anambra people. So it's very easy for Okowa to be accepted. He will be seen as one, like a brother who just traveled out of this country. It's like having a brother in America or having a brother in London. That's how you'll be seen. So it is easy for him to mingle. He's going to remind them of his heritage. It's quite easy. That is why they say, because the Igbos, especially Ohanese, they have threatened to ostracize whoever goes for the PP slot. They want the presidency, to become the president of the country. They have even threatened openly, you know. So the point we are trying to make is, fine, you have a P2B there. Definitely not only both will vote for P2B, because, like I said, we, as you have also confirmed, we've gone beyond imbecilic followership. Like I have always told you, I don't give a damn about the party. I'm more concerned about the individual. So for House of Assembly, I can vote for Party A. For House of Reps, I can vote for Party B. for presidency, I can vote for party C. That is my conclusion, not the individual, not the party, sorry. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to suffer for it. I go for individual, and I plead with Nigerians to vote for individual. So a lot of people might vote for Peter Obi, no doubt, but some will also have that sentiment. Depends on his oratory power when he approaches them. Some will also have that sentiment. He's also our brother. And also, okay, we're also PPP, so let us vote for him. So it is better for Okowa to be presented to the Igbos than any other person to be presented to the Igbos. If you talk of placating the Igbos, because the clamor for presidency is from there, and the cry against injustice, marginalization, and discrimination is also higher from there. So that's the point. That's why we are saying, well, he probably has an edge as an Igbo man. Okowa is an Igbo man in Delta State. That's the truth about it. So you might be more appealing. That's just the synopsis of what we are trying to tell you.
Okay. Quickly, Mr. Kayode, I think we're going to wrap up with you because I think you're back. So can you hear me?
Of Nigeria.
Mr. Kayode, can you hear me?
That the Igbos we consider.
Okay. Go ahead. I think you were saying something.
Yeah, it's a point. It's another point that the Igbos will consider. Because either you like it or not, even look at that name, Ifeanyi. Like I was saying before the line went on, there's a close affinity between that Delta and the Southeast. And to that extent, there is a strong belief that Okowa is an Igbo man too. It's just like when you are looking at the Yoruba people and then the Ajashe people. There is the blood of Yoruba in the Ajashe people of Cotonou. So also the same way we should look at it. And again, whether you are picking Okowa or you are picking whoever it is, what we Nigerians should be looking for is about performance, competence. A team that will kickstart our economic progression. Immediately this one, a team that will ensure that there is a workable, systemic, and cohesive Nigeria come 2023. A team that will ensure security. A team that will ensure that this incessant strike of ASU and other professional bodies is being put to a stop. A team that we know that importation of fuel is fraudulent, and then ensure that there are a lot of scattered, modular refineries scattered everywhere in our country. Okay. A team that be able to look forward, to look inward, and be proactive than just being reactionary. That is what we should be looking for. Okay. And interestingly, we have somebody who has an experience, who has been in the presidency for 8 years, and then who was instrumental in the successes of that government by bringing in a lot of technocrats. Now, in his own wisdom, he's now bringing in a technocrat as the vice president.
Well, I want to say thank you, Mr. Dayo Kayode. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. Dayo Kayode, Opunabo Inko-Tariah, both political analysts, thank you so much. Eyes are watching, of course, for the campaigns to see how it plays out. Thank you so much.
Thank you for remembering me, Marianne.
Thank you so much.
And good evening, Nigerians, once more.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. Well, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Muslim ticket, because that seems to be the question pointing towards the APC right now, as we all await who the choice of the running mate for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be. We'll be right back after this break.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam, you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station Plus TV Africa and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
It's not just the parents that have to do this. We put a lot of emphasis on government, we put a lot of emphasis on schools, but the service sector is completely left out of this conversation, and it's really important because they touch the families every day.
When we are making intervention, at the back of our mind, that plan that you're drawing up should also say on X amount of times or hours, you as the parents have to have X number of training.
Not just about the training, okay? So as we're collecting data in the center, you're collecting data at home. We give you the exact same plan.
From my own experience is that the children are usually the best advocates.
Absolutely.
Because the children have been informed and they have also experienced it, we find that they tend to go home and tell their parents the appropriate things to do.
You see, the greatest robbery of this election, Marianne, is the fact that it has been, because of the misrule of President Muhammadu Buhari, it has become an ethnic issue rather than an economic issue, rather than an issue of saving our education sector, rather than the insecurity in the Northeast and in all parts of the North. Now everybody is more concerned about where the president comes from than what the president can do, because everybody has seen the marginalization, the ethnocentrism that has been at play under the APC.
There is a northern president that will be completing 8 years in 2023. And let me restate that the presidency is not of the party. The presidency is the president of the country. So whether it is APC or whether it is PDP or whether it is any other party, is the president of Nigeria, not the president of the party. And for us, and I speak on behalf of Afeni Ferret, Ohanes Indigo, Sandel, and the Middle Belt Forum, under the auspices of Southern and Middle Belt leaders. And I'm restating the position of that forum, that any political party in Nigeria, any of the major political parties, there are political parties that we know that are motion parties, any of the major political parties, particularly APC and PDP, that are choosing other candidates will not have our support. And it's a statement of fact.
Journalism in Nigeria is an all-commerce affair. Why is it an all-commerce affair? It's only in journalism where you see somebody who read an engineering course or maybe a medical course, practicing as either a broadcaster or a reporter, doing stories. Somebody who probably read psychology in school, So there is the lack of, what should I say, standardization, So all of these things, pose a very serious challenge, in terms of staying on stories and following up on stories.
The Southeast governors, led by the governor of Ebonyi State, has to really sit down again to redefine what they established as the Eastern Security Network. The Ebubago Security Network. Yes. The Ebubago Security Network was meant to be a regional security outfit like Amotekun. But if we watch the way the different other 3 governors or 4 governors of the Southeast have been acting or behaving, it does appear that Ebubago has only been operating in Ebonyi. And that I won't talk about it, because what is even doing in Ebonyi, it is not going after their non-government, it's only going after political opponents.
Okay, agreed, yes. PDP and APC, the 2 major parties, they have a zoning formula which they have been applying since the democratic dispensation came into play. But then, what we see playing out today is like a dysfunction of the entire system. All of a sudden, everybody is saying, oh, we don't believe in zoning. We don't want to follow zoning anymore. So something is, definitely wrong in the structure of these two political parties. And this is where the Igbo leaders need to go to first and resolve issues. Why is it that they're now saying they don't want to do zoning? What is the problem? So you can't tell me that, we can blame Mr. President for everything, but we can't be blaming Mr. President when the political parties themselves are not doing the right thing.
I don't know about pushing it to the southeast, because obviously those in the south, in the southwest, under the platform of the APC do not have any obligation to the PDP. So I think it's only a natural thing for them to want to, insist that the president, if a president can emerge from the southwest, should emerge from the southwest. But I think what is now happening is that there are even insinuations that even DC that has zoned the presidency to the southwest is beginning to think twice about it. Perhaps they feel that there's a weakness in the south and that the south has not been able to come up with. They require consensus needed to put pressure on the north to give up on the issue of the presidency. But they will be making a terrible mistake if they think that after 8 years under the president, that the North can remain in power for another 8 years. That will be chaos, and that's why people are warning.
Everybody wants new Nigeria. Nobody wants to continue with this rusted system that is not working for anybody except those who are in government and their cronies and people around them. And when you go to the New Nigeria People's Party, we are happy with the New Nigeria and we are happy with New Nigeria People's Party. And you see, we are not only looking for party with the majority of people, we are looking for party that has a potential of receiving people who are of like minds. The party is very much concerned.
A northern group, the Arawa Youth Awareness Forum, have asked the Professor Ishaq Akintola-led Muslim rights concern, MURIC, and the Christian Association of Nigeria to consider floating political parties instead of dictating to the two major political parties, the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressive Congress, over choices of presidential running mates. AYAF expressed concern over the two religious bodies' interference in the affairs of the APC and the PDP. Well, joining us to discuss this is a political analyst, Biodun Shomi, and the chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter, Reverend Joseph Hayab. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Gentlemen, can you hear me? Reverend Hayab, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I'm going to start with you until we get Biodun back. So this is a group of bodies telling you, or a group of people telling you to stay clear of what's happening within the two major political parties and also, detailed for all other political parties, and that if you are too concerned, you should go start your own political parties. And I know that CAN, under Bishop Francis Wale-Oke, had at some point stated, what these political parties should do in terms of the issue of a Muslim ticket or a Muslim-Christian ticket. But I'll ask you, why is CAN so concerned about what the religion of the party flag bearer and the running mate is?
Thank you very much for asking me. Honestly speaking, I would have refused to participate in this conversation because the group in question is not even worthy of our response. And number two, CAN and MURIC are not equal partners. CAN speaks with Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, not with MURIC. But because we live in a democracy where people can express their views, so sometimes when people express views, there's nothing wrong for us to educate them. Let's put this clear, that politics is about people. There is no one that is excluded in the issue of politics and governance of his land. One of the errors is that there are so many ignorant Christians out there who probably want to receive applause from people, and they will say that, you see, Christians, clerics supposed not to be involved in politics. They get it wrong. Let me put it clear. The Bible says when the righteous are in leadership, the people rejoice. How can the righteous be in leadership if those who call themselves people of God do not participate in the process of bringing up the righteous? The Bible also says that the land, the earth and its fullness thereof belongs to God. If I'm a child of God, that means this world, this land, this nation belongs to my Father, and I have to take care of it. So our involvement in politics is to show how important politics is to the development of our society, how important politics is to the governance of our of our society, how important politics is to the way life is shaping in our society. So what we are doing is not to impose. If we keep quiet, this is a political system. We ask, where are our clergy? What are they saying? So what we are doing is to offer suggestion. 1, for the unity of Nigeria. 2, for the peace of Nigeria. 3, for togetherness of this country and good governance. You know, I've listened to many arguments when people come around and say they are looking for competence, it's not about faith. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that there are no competent people in Christianity? Are you telling me that there are no competent people in Islam? Are you telling me there are no competent pagans in Nigeria, those who do not have faith? But put it across to those who bring this argument. If we today decide that the governor of Kaduna State will be Christian and the deputy governor will be Christian, will Nigeria know peace? Yes. If we are talking about competence, we have them in millions. But because we want to be together, because we want to work together, and our constitution also talks about federal character. Federal character may not mention religion, but federal character talks about carrying every Nigerian along. Imagine a situation where we will have the president of Nigeria from Kaduna State, the vice president of Nigeria from Kaduna State, the SGF of Nigeria from Kaduna State, the speaker of, the president of the Senate from Kaduna State, and the speaker of House of Representatives from Kaduna State. Will there be peace in Nigeria just because they are capable hands? But before you start arguing about the subject, you have to understand where people are coming from.
I'm curious, and I'll quickly ask you this before I go to Biodun. When a person is canvassing, I'm just asking, I'm not in any way trying to attack anyone, but when a person is canvassing to lead Nigeria, he's not saying, I want to be a Muslim president of Nigeria, I want to be the president of the Christians in Nigeria. He says, I want to lead Nigeria. Why should religion have any play or any role in this? I'm not also saying that we should not consider religion, because we're a religious set of people. We're a secular country. We have all kinds of religion, at play. But whether you be a Christian or a Muslim, should your priority not be about changing Nigeria? Because I'm guessing that if you're Muslim, Islam is a religion of peace. In other words, whatever you do should be in the betterment or in the interest of Nigerians and to bring peace. So why should we be emphasizing that, if we don't have Muslims and Christians together on one ticket, we cannot douse the tension in the country? Please educate me. Why can that not be, a thing that we jettison and just look at how a person can bring peace? My late boss,
His Excellency Patrick Ibrahim Yakowa, in his acceptance speech, precisely in May 2010, when he became the first Christian to be governor of Kaduna State, he made a very nice speech by saying that I'm not going to be a Christian governor. All newspapers in Nigeria took that as the main headline of their news the next day. But sadly, that was a man who suffered religion issue as far as governance is concerned. You see, what we are simply saying in this country is that we are not as visitors to Nigeria. We know this country. We understand this country. If religion is not a matter, simple. Let's look for the best pagan, the second person to be the best vice president to be the best pagan. Will everybody clap for that? Let's look for the best Christian. The vice president should also be a very good Christian. Will everybody clap for that? Whatever is good for the Ganda is good for the Gandis, is good for the Ganda. So what we are simply saying is we are dealing with a situation we know ourselves in Nigeria. And we cannot shy away from the things that are holding us, from the things that are dividing us, from the things that are creating tension. We are simply saying, we're not saying go and bring any Christian who, just because he's a Christian, to be governor. We are saying, or to be president. We are saying is that if you are looking for experts, if you are looking for quality leaders, if you are looking for people who will deliver the goods, they are in every tribe in Nigeria, they are in every region in Nigeria, they are in every religion of Nigeria. Okay. So we should go in the spirit of togetherness, find them in all these different identities. Because in Nigeria, the issue of identity has always been a very serious challenge. Okay. Let's not pretend about this. Let's not shy away about it. Because I'm from Kaduna, I will say this. In one of the national television recently, my governor came out and said the issue of Muslim is nothing because they've tried it in Kaduna. Can we be honest that in the last 4 years, Kaduna has been what you'll be proud about? What are the achievements? Is that what we want? Do we just want to be leaders without carrying and uniting the people? Even the most backward community wants to feel their voice is heard, want to ensure that they are part of the decision making in building their nation, in building their community. Right. But a situation where we do not balance in the way we are doing, and we are saying religions do not matter. Okay, we agree it does not matter. But remember, if it applies to you, it shouldn't also matter. We can also just ask the Southwest to give us the president and the vice president and everybody because it doesn't matter.
Okay, let me go to Biodo Shomi. Biodo, you're somewhat of a politician, and let's look at it from a purely political perspective, because there seems to be, a lot of bickering about this Muslim ticket. In fact, we're yet to hear from the APC who the running mate to the flag bearer is, because today is the deadline, and that is ditto, like I said earlier on, for all the political parties. And I asked, just as I asked him, in 2022, should we be worried about the religion of the people who lead us, or should we be looking at their pedigree, their antecedents, and of course, if they are capable of bringing peaceful and, of course, a progressive governance?
Yes. In the first instance, the essence of the discourse on Muslim ticket or Muslim-Christian or Christian ticket, it's about national development, which huge emphasis on human development and economic development. And when you take it from that viewpoint, you then ask yourself, what has religion got to do with proven experience on service delivery to the people of Nigeria? What has the religious faith of anyone got to do with sense of justice, sense of fairness, creating employment for the people of Nigeria? That is the starting point. But when you now stretch it a bit further, you now ask yourself, after all, Nigeria is a secular state. How come we're only talking about two religions, Christian and Muslim? What happened to the original African traditional religious practitioners? Christianity made them here. Islam made them here. Nobody's talking about it. They're only talking about the rivalry between two religions, which in any case are foreign to our own country. And that is what is shaping the discourse, rather than proven experience, ability to contribute to national development. When you take, for instance, in Lagos State, we had a governor in the name of Aki Ambode, whose wife had to sack the priest of a church in Alausa, not only sack him from employment, he was evicted from his house. Aki Ambode is a Christian. When he was governor, he was a Christian. The wife, a Christian, attending the same church. He was not a Muslim. So for me, I think it's more about the attitude of individuals. If you're a Christian and you choose to be a God-fearing Christian, so be it. If you're a Muslim, you choose to be, so be it. You're a traditional practitioner, so be it. The emphasis of what we need to move our country forward is to not be on the basis of your religious convictions or faith. Because religion by itself will not contribute to national development in the real sense of it, rather than creating the right spiritual environment developing people to be able to tolerate each other and live harmoniously. But beyond that, it hardly will contribute anything meaningfully to economic development. Rather, it has served in some cases, as driver, for underdevelopment. And you can see the whole place all around Lagos and Ogun, where industries were taken over by churches.
I think that we're having connection issues there again with you, Mr. Showomi. Unfortunately, we have to let you go. But quickly, Reverend Hayab, we have just 1 minute. We're talking about peace here. We want this, if not for the first time after 1993, to be the most peaceful elections in Nigeria's history. And for those of us who are peace scholars, we know that there are 8 pillars of peace, and religion plays a role one way or the other in it. But how can we also douse tension without also heating up the polity with this issue of religion as part of the tickets? How do we peacefully address this issue going forward so that we don't use it or arm people with this, make it a tool of division again, even though we're trying to unite Nigerians? But let's not also, incite people to say, well, if you don't give me somebody that looks like me or goes to the same kind of place of worship like me, then we're going to cause trouble. So in looking at building peace, before, during, and after the elections, what do we do?
Saying if you do not cook the kind of food we want to eat, we will not eat your food. Because I do not eat your food is not war. I'm simply saying that this is what the kind of meal I want to eat for my stomach. I don't want to eat a meal that will create problem to my system. I want to eat a meal that will bring health and bring strength to me. So we are simply saying to the political parties that, look, for the sake of unity, for the sake of togetherness, look for a combination that will unite, a combination that will promote peace, not because we are going to go to war. It's simply, if your kind of meal is not good for us, don't blame us for not eating your meal. We would have loved to eat your meal, but we're not going to eat a meal that the combination is not good for our stomach. But let me put it clear for Nigerians to know that Christians have actually never had problem with who leads and who do not lead. Christians can remind Nigerians that we have ever voted for a Muslim in Nigeria, and the fact about it, that it was even a Muslim president who annulled the election. We don't have problem with that. But gradually experience have begun to show that it is only when it is about us that no, there is not issue about religion. But when it turns to the other side, no, it must not be, we are not going to take it. We are growing in this country. That's why it is not fair and it's not right for you to act contrarily, because another time will come, people will remember what you did yesterday. When Abiola and Kingibe were elected, they were not elected on the basis of religion. Christians and Muslims went out and elected them. But the moment leadership started having a color of religion, time will not permit me to give you the history of how Obasanjo came into power, the service that was held, and what triggered the Sharia that caused all the conflict. That's why we want a team that will unite the country, a team that will carry everybody in the country. But we are not asking for novice.
We have to go. We have to go.
And there are good people in every pet.
All right. Reverend Joseph Hayab is the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter, and Biodu Showomi is a political analyst. Unfortunately, we lost contact with him. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for speaking with us. Well, that's it tonight on the show. We want to say thank you. We hope you enjoyed the week of conversations. We'll be back next week, Monday, as the political stories keep brewing. We're here to report it and ask the right questions. I'm Mary Anacone. Have a good evening.
Tenancy agreement. So in a case that the landlord wants to evict the tenant, in a case there's no tenancy agreement, what happens in court?
Well, usually what the court will do, or what is expected of the landlord in that situation, is to look at the mode of payment. Number one, it is established, there is no controversy as to the fact that the tenant is a tenant of the landlord, whether or not there is a written tenancy agreement. the fact that there is possession, the tenant is in possession of the premises, and he has made some form of payment, which is rent, to the landlord for the use of the premises. That would create a relationship, a tenancy relationship between the landlord and the tenant.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
I had no desire to study law, none whatsoever. I was more inclined to fine arts. My only ambition, I would say, was to become the chief prosecutor. For me, politicians are a bit too playful. That's what I believe. And since '99, we've seen how much investment in social events, in launching some streets that you just started, and the whole day will be spent on this occasion. British people are generally law-abiding. We are not law-abiding. So another problem of administration is that people don't follow the rules.
Timeless Conversations, airing every Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Osayome Sale, and today Manny and I are live in studio, and Uti is joining us via Zoom. Hello. I wore my waist trouser today.
Oh, really? I think I already said I wanted one.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, I want
mine. I have to order.
You have to.
The long story. How are you, Manny? You look amazing.
Really?
What's good? What's good?
Everything was good today.
How was this week?
You know you know how my week has been.
Wow.
My week
was eventful.
Very eventful. That's the word. Very eventful. Yeah, but thank God all is well that ends well.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's our work now.
It's your work.
When people say, there's this sticker people put in their cars at the back of their cars, waiting lawyer they do self. I'm like, really? Waiting
who know what they do. Just get into trouble first.
Yeah, then you know.
Uti Elu. Hello, Uti.
Hello.
Hi. How was your day?
Plenty talking. I've been interviewing for 2 days now, so I'm tired. I'm all talked out. Yeah.
So why are you interviewing though? You just did a series of interviews for,
So these ones aren't recruitment. They're like competency assessments. So we're reviewing the performance of the people in the business to see whether they.
Awesome. Awesome, Pele. At least we have you via Zoom, it's fine.
Yep, thank God for technology.
Thank God for technology. So today we're discussing this conversation around the, the church man that was slammed, was accused of fraud rather, right? So we just we're not so much focusing on the church, because I remember that there was a time, Uti, if you can help me, remember there was a time the government had said that they were going to start appointing directors or something.
Churches.
2020.
Yeah.
What was that story again about?
Now you put me on the spot. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was when the new CAC rules came out, I think it was, and there was something in there speaking to the potential to tax NGOs, particularly churches and places of worship, if I remember off the top of my head.
So so that's what we're discussing. We're discussing like the structures, the business structure of setting up a proper NGO. What's the ideal structure? What it should really look like, and that's the conversation for today. And here's what we found as today's quote. Where's my quote now? The real development I've seen of people in organizations, especially in big ones, comes from their being volunteers in a non-profit organization where you have responsibilities, you see results, and you quickly learn what your values are. There is no better way to understand your strength and discover where you belong than to volunteer in a non-profit. There's probably the great opportunity for the social sector, and especially in its relationship to business. So we actually want to focus on the business side of running an NGO, right? So earlier today, as I'd mentioned earlier, we got news of the UK government shutting down Pastor Toby Adeboyega's church over a $1.9 million pound fraud allegation. Now, Manny, Uti, and I are discussing, right, the ideal structure for non-profit, the ideal business structure for non-profit organization. What should the ideal business structure look like? Because it seems like most churches or most NGOs is just a one-man thing, one man. So there's supposed to be a proper structure, and usually when you have the idea to set up those kinds of companies and you're going abroad, it's difficult for you to, adjust because you don't understand the legalities, right? And that's what we're focusing on. We want to see the legalities of the system and how the setup, how the system works, right? But we'll do that first. Let's take a break to see what we found in the news. You are still watching Ways Now. World Crocodile Day is observed on June 17 every year to raise awareness about the plight of the crocodiles and alligators and protect them from getting extinct in the near future. The Global Day has been observed since 2017 and was started by the Crocodile Research Coalition in collaboration with the Belize Zoo. Now, the Belize Zoo organizes the most prominent event on World Crocodile Day to celebrate this, the species and simultaneously take a step towards protecting them from continuous exploitation and danger. Events at the zoo include engaging activities such as crocodile exhibition, face painting, croc talks, photo booth, etc. Now, separate educational seminars are also conducted to raise a concern about the endangered species and provide solutions for their healthy survival. Who is a croc fan here? all of them that they buy bag and croc skin, leather bag, leather shoe. See your life.
No, we're not crocodile fans.
Really?
Fans, no.
But Uti, I wanted to ask: is this crocodile? Is it related to the Crocs? What's it called? Footwear that we have?
No. The footwear is purely rubber.
So it's just a coincidence that the name is called Crocs.
Yeah, so I think it's the look.
I'm just asking me.
Come on.
But yes, no. Oh, it's stretching. Don't worry,
don't mind her. Are you for real?
But I mean, you know the thing about it is, I mean, croc leather is so. I mean, for such a dangerous animal, the leather is so lush and so plush when you have it in, your leather goods. It's really good. But I'm surprised. I think for me, the most shocking thing was just the fact, the amount of crocodile leather that's actually sourced here in Nigeria. I never think of those kinds of things here, but we actually have a market for all types of leather. So croc leather is actually available here as well. So
Kaduna is a city of crocodiles.
And people like that.
They get them from the north.
That's why it's called Kada. Kaduna
really?
is crocodile.
Okay, that's good.
I hope I'm correct. If I remember my Hausa correctly. All right, so Uti, what did you find for us in the news?
Okay, so my headline, this is the culmination of a long battle. It says Lagos loses hijab battle at the Supreme Court. So I remember this in 2018 when Lagos appealed. So Lagos had put in place wanting to ban the hijabs from their public schools. So this is to do with the education sector in Lagos State, where it had restricted the use of hijab for female Muslim students in public schools in the state. It had initially been taken to court, lost the case, and then appealed and won the case. But now what's it called now? The Supreme Court. So what's it called now? No, it's the other way around. They lost in the appeal. Their judgment was set aside in the appeal. So they then took it to the Supreme Court to then appeal or to get a final decision and say on the case. So because at that time it was set aside, they had put out something in 2018 to say that hijabs were allowed and they're giving guidelines of it being neat and all of that. But as at today, the Supreme Court, with a 7-member panel, has upheld the judgment and said that the Lagos State government cannot ban the use of hijabs in the state. So Lagos State has lost its appeal. You cannot appeal the Supreme Court, as Mani can tell us better. But it just means that basically the rights, of course, right to religion is one of our fundamental rights here, constitutionally as well, so that female Muslims are allowed to recognize their faith in terms of wearing the hijab. So for all the Muslims out there, I'm sure this is a wonderful, I've seen a lot of commentary from a lot of Muslim organizations thanking the Supreme Court, which interestingly was a mixed faith panel. So there were actually, I think, more Christians on the panel than Muslims of judges. And that has, the Lagos State government, as I said, has lost that appeal. So congratulations to all those that fought the fight for the longest time.
I wore hijabs when I was in school, because there was a time I had to go to a purely Islamic school, and part of the rules are you wear, so they made the Christians a bit, they gave us a bit of freedom, but the freedom was we could tie our hair, but the Muslims, you had to wear the hijab, yes. I mean, these things sometimes we spark up unnecessary wahala, because this is,
this
their identities, their way of life. It is who they are. You understand?
Respect
You should
them enough
respect
to
them
let them
enough
be.
to just let them be. The fact that you do not want to probably wear the hijab or something doesn't mean that, you know. So allow people express their religion however best that they want to. I mean, the hijab has never really affected anybody, you know, so I don't know. It's quite interesting.
I think
so
it became a controversial thing.
Yeah, I was right about Kaduna. I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah.
I got my house right. So it says that Kaduna River used to be the place that hosted a large crocodile population, right? So Kada is crocodile. Hallelujah. I didn't feel. Let my house teacher not look for me. All right, Manny, your story.
Alrighty. So George dismisses plea bargain and jails a man for 21 years for killing his wife. The Lagos State High Court, sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square, has sentenced the man, Daniel Gajo, to 21 years imprisonment for stabbing his 24-year-old wife, Esther, to death. The prosecution said that the act was contrary to Section 22(7) of the Criminal Law of Lagos State 2015. Gajo had initially pleaded not guilty to one count of involuntary manslaughter during his arraignment and was remanded on the 13th of June 2013, but at the resumed hearing on Thursday, 16th of June 2022, before Justice Yetunde Adesanya, the prosecution informed the court that the defendant had decided to plead guilty to the charge. So the prosecution submitted the plea bargain and sentence agreement signed by the defense counsel to the court, and also prayed the court to grant the 17 years jail term as recommended in the agreement. However, the church refused to grant it and said that nobody had the right to take another's life, and however sentenced him to 21 years in prison. Yeah, so I think this was a good one because it was the killing of this woman was unprovoked. He actually went to her mother's house and killed her, you know. So, and now he wants a plea bargain for a reduced sentence. I think it's crazy, and it's a good one. This is congratulations to the family of the deceased.
This is more credibility to our justice system.
Oh yes, it is.
It gives a lot of credibility to our justice system.
Yes.
All right, so my story is just in line with what we had talked about yesterday when we were talking about the stingy man.
Yeah.
So Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, you know, she says no apologies, please. One, Peter Obi's supposed on Peter Obi's supposed stinginess. So she recounted how Peter Obi had gone to Dallas, right, for to visit her and her husband. I think he had an event as well. It was a black tie event. And so he then realized that he just packed a bag. There were only books and files in there. He didn't have a proper outfit for the event. So they went into a store. I think they were supposed to get a Tom Ford suit or something that was worth about $3,895. The man could not hold it. He said never. Never will he be caught to wear that kind of
so what did he wear?
That he could not find himself or bring himself to that point where he could pay for that amount of money to buy that suit. So he eventually went to a regular store and got a suit of about $220 and inclusive of tax. So he bought the suit and he wore it. He felt so good with himself. She just said what struck her after all of this was when he was heading to the airport, heading back to Nigeria, he took out an envelope that had $3,800. Because you know what he had said was that, do you know how many lives will be impacted with $3,800? I will just use it to buy one suit to wear for one day. So he gave her $3,800 and he told her that he trusted her that she was going to put it to good use. So she recounted how she used the money to help a woman, I think, who had her yam shed was gutted with fire. There was a woman that had 6 young children that, you know, they had been thrown out of their house, their room accommodation, because their breadwinner fell upon hard times and could no longer pay the rent. I mean, she listed the number of people that $3,800 helped. So she was saying that if this is what you call so let me quote her. She says, if this way of life is what is derided as stinginess on the part of Peter Obi, then we all need to adopt this mold for a more sustainable and more humane environment, you know. So, I mean, this is just in line. And just to give a quick follow-up, that I hear that Father Mbaka has apologized for his statements that he made.
It's too late.
Yes. No, well, but he got the backlash, right? He got the backlash because it was so totally uncalled for. So I hear that he's apologized, saying that he apologizes, of course, to Peter Obi. I haven't read the story. That is my friend and remains my friend and my brother. I love him and I wish him success. May God bless him and his good supporters, right? So at least he's made that apology. Then just to also finally add, because in the spirit of giving us what is trending, we hear Doyin Okukwe is now is holding place for the vice presidential candidate, that they had to submit his name as a placeholder because they wanted to meet the deadline for today, Friday, right? So Doyin Okukwe is the placeholder for the, because yesterday we had mentioned Atiku's running mate, Tinubu's running mate. So Labour Party now has brought out Doyin Okukwe, but as a placeholder for the VP slot for the VP. So we'll keep our eyes on the ball. I'm sure by Monday a lot of things would have unraveled. So we'll take a break now. Let's discuss NGO matter. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so thanks for staying with us. Now, the exact structure of a non-profit organization depends partly on where it is incorporated. Some states have their own requirements for the number of directors or other officers of the non-profit. However, the basic structure of a non-profit is generally the same everywhere. The structure is divided into 3 fundamental areas: governance, programs, and administration, and then further subdivided within each area depending on the purpose and the goal of the non-profit. Now, stories of cases of fraud in non-profit organization is not news to most of us. Why is this very rampant? We're asking tonight. And what are the legalities involved, right? What is the ideal business structure for a non-profit organization? Because, I mean, a lot of people are actually going into non-profits. They set it up and they run it, but not many people understand how it's supposed to be structured. So in case there are laws, you know, of the land, you're not breaking up any such rules, right? So let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa1 with the hashtag Wayshow. All right, so money, since you are the lawyer here, help me out, because okay, so the background of this conversation started when we saw the post of the going all over social media, and everybody's just backlashing and saying, you know, pastors, because it's very quick. Anything that has to do with pastors or whatever, we do not spare them. We just jump on it. We could go talk now, offering and all of those things, right? But I want to believe that some churches are getting it right. You know, I want to believe that, for instance, let me speak of my own church. I know that there's a proper organizational structure. Currently now, my senior pastor and his wife, they are not even in Nigeria, but the church is still running. Everything is going on. You know, the accounts are there. Somebody's in charge of the accounts and all of that. So the question around, you know, because this church falls under non-profit, not-for-profit organizations, right? So the question around structure, because I have a non-for-profit organization, and I don't think I have beyond maybe 1 or 2 people as signatories to the account. I know that I'm not getting it right, because ideally you're supposed to have a proper structure, that you're supposed to do audited accounts and all of that, because again, some of these funds that are given to you as a not-for-profit is in trust that you're going to use it, you know, to help people. I judiciously use mine funds to help people, even with my personal money and everything. But I can still say that if it comes to the structure, I don't think I have done it well, you know, structurally. So I just want us to use this as an opportunity to educate ourselves, right? So if we're thinking to set up non-for-profit churches or whatever, what are the ideal things you should put in place as a business structure? Then I'll come to Uti.
Okay, so the NGO is a non-profit organization which is organized for a particular purpose. So a good example of this is the Nigerian Red Cross Association. So we know that is for the public. So they're supposed to help to touch lives. They're supposed to help the government, to create changes in different areas. They're also supposed to help to compel the government to do the right things, So the KAMA empowers the CAC, to regulate the non-profit organizations. So what they're supposed to do is abide by the obligations, and some of these obligations are the laws of incorporations, fundraising legislations, equal employment principles, health and safety. So privacy, there are just a lot of them, trademark and copyright. So they are also supposed to file their returns, and like the name implies, it's for non-profit. It's not for profits, meaning that whatever it is that it's in line with their objectives is what they're supposed to stick by. So if, for example, if the objective of your organization is to help, let's say, the orphanage homes, so you're supposed to abide by the legislation of that, strictly by it. So you don't take the funds in your organization that is supposed to be used to help the orphans and then used to help maybe like an organization for pets. Yes, so we're supposed to abide by those legislators or legislations. So then we also have issues with mismanagement. They are not supposed to mismanage funds. They are not supposed to commit any fraudulent act. They are not supposed to do any misconduct. Everything has the consequences. So they are punishable by law, sometimes by jail term. So when we look at this issue with this church right now, I think I went back to read the background story of this church in the UK. It's not really fraud as we know fraud, because the NGOs in the UK are highly regulated. They are not like our NGOs here. Who is really regulating our NGOs? You just said something. You run an NGO. Has anybody called you? Have you filed any returns? Is anybody checking what you're doing? The reason why nobody's really checking you is in Nigeria, we kind of run what we run without any help from the government. But it's not the same case in the UK. In the UK, the government is interested in all this because, they take taxation very seriously. In Nigeria, so many companies are not paying taxes. And the government, they don't even know. So the NGO in the UK, they are not supposed to pay taxes as well as the ones in Nigeria. But in the UK, they make sure that everything they are doing is in line with their objectives. Then another thing that the UK government does is for every £1 that the NGOs give out, the UK gives them 20. They match it. Exactly. So because they match it, they have stakes in the company as well. They watch it. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So they take that seriously. So the way we look at fraud in Nigeria is in amongst these NGOs, not the way they look at fraud. So if this thing happens in Nigeria, you say, oh yes, they've embezzled money, they are eating people's tithes and offering. But in the UK, it might be something as small as not filing returns.
That's what I was going to say. Do we even file returns here in
exactly.
Nigeria?
It's something as small as that. So yes, it's very different, but there are laws governing the NGO. Yes.
Okay, let me come to you, Uti. You are a Ukrainian. You are British.
Yeah, so she will know something about.
Well, did you find time to actually read this story? And can you just give us like a little bit of what you know when it comes to non-profits companies abroad?
So really for me, it's about the non-profits and the way they're set up. I think Mani is giving us a good foundation, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting for me, when I saw this story, I didn't read it, but the headline immediately caught me because it was the UK, and I'm like, these people don't learn. This is not the first time a Nigerian church is falling foul to the UK Charities Commission. If we recall many years ago, another channel, yes, KICC, also fell into some problems with the Charities Commission, where there was the issue that started it off was actually the fact he wasn't actually drawing a salary, but when he turned 50, the board of trustees of the church or the leadership decided to buy him a gift of a car. Now they didn't apply, which would be a normal thing, right? We see it happen here in Nigeria all the time. But in the UK, because as Manny said, it's quite heavily regulated, they didn't apply for a waiver to be allowed to spend those kind of funds on a gift for personal use. And of course, that then caused an investigation. And that was almost like opening a door into looking into the church and realizing that they had made some investments to the tune of millions of pounds and had lost money in those investments. So they were investments of a high risk nature and lost money. So this is not the first time that we would say, in the legal sense of it, that there was no precedent, right? If you are operating in the UK, in that particular space, we see that, we understand that it's highly regulated, and we've seen other similar organizations that have had these kinds of issues. So when I saw the headline, I thought, don't we learn what could have possibly happened here for you to fall foul in a very highly regulated country? I mean, in that KICC issue, the entire board of trustees was fired, and then they had to hire interim management, and they had to turn the church into a company and all those kind of things. So when I see that this is still happening, it's the idea for me of how is this structured? Where are the checks and balances that are put in place to prevent these things from happening? If we come away from the faith-based sector, in 2020, when we had COVID, it seemed like, money was flying around all over the place. NGOs, people were setting up NGOs just so that they could, yes, I don't want to be cynical and say that they were doing it just to make money, but there was a lot of money flying around, and there was a lot of foreign funds available to help in that time of COVID when, of course, there was a real need. So what checks and balances are in place to actually prevent these issues? What kind of structure? So when we talk about non-profits, of course, there's so many things that come under that umbrella of non-profits, whether they're trusts or they're incorporated charities or non-incorporated associations, or even, in fact, like yourself, who are somebody that's just looking to set something up to benefit a collective under a certain banner. So it's really now coming to the point where we don't even have a culture in Nigeria here, right? The way we have in places like the UK, where giving to charity, some people do it like it's almost like a financial transaction, right? You have a direct debit on your account and you're just giving money to a charity that you believe in their cause. So if we say that we want to add more structure, if you remember when we had TA on the show and he was talking about the stuff that he was doing or he had been doing in that what's the word now? The word escapes me. It's not charity, philanthropy, right? In the work that he started doing in his state, we have a huge need for non-profits and NGOs and the work that they do in Nigeria. We all know that poverty is rife. We know that in every key sector, education, health, there are a myriad of issues. So we have enough going for us here where we need to start for us to feel the ripple effect of Uwa is doing her own NGO, Uti is doing her own NGO, the ladies of Weza. Everybody's doing their little bits in bits and pieces. But of course, it's not scaling because we have a huge population, we have a huge problem. So we're not enjoying some of the benefits that more organized charities and NGOs see in other countries. Like the one that comes to mind for me is one that is close to my heart, is the Macmillan Cancer Trust. It's a very old, very big charity that offers, care and support for cancer patients. You can actually feel their impact, right, on a national scale in the UK. So if we want to see that kind of impact for our NGOs, the structures need to change. The coming together, rather than having all these mushrooms, which opens actually the room for fraud, right? Because anybody can set it up and it's not properly governed. But if we start to come together and pool these funds in a way under proper structure, it would really change the impact of what that money and the kind of charity and philanthropy that we're doing in Nigeria would have.
Absolutely. Because I mean, I like where you're going with the conversation, because now what I think the downside to some of these things are that we're not putting structure to it. It makes it difficult, right, for people to be comfortable donating. So for instance, now the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for instance, you see top players donating to that cause because there is a proper structure, and they believe that whatever dime that I'm giving to this organization will be used, you know, judiciously. But like you rightly mentioned, like some of us that have mushroom NGOs that are not structured, right? And this is not to say that even the structured ones are not fraudulent. There's a lot of fraud going on in non-governmental organizations because it's supposed to be like you are not accountable to whatever income comes. But I mean, from what you're saying that you're supposed to be filing returns and all that tells me that a lot of us are actually, you know, fraudulent, if I want to put the words that they're saying.
Yes.
A lot of us are fraudulent because nobody's filing any. Yes, well, because it's the breach of how it's supposed to be. Right? So how do we begin to start to correct this, you know, and probably if we want to say we want to get it right, because now there is a law in Nigeria, but it's just that these things are not being implemented. If they implement it today, it means that a lot of these not-for-profit organizations, right, be it church, whatever, NGOs or whatever, they will shut them down, right? But let me take a break. We'll come back from the break, then we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing the ideal business structure for non-profit organization, and this is coming off of the back of the church in the UK that was shut down because of suspected fraudulent activities, right? So please, let's hear what you have to say. If you have an NGO, it would be nice to share how you are running your organization. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa1 with the hashtag Wayshow. So what I was saying, that how do we begin to correct this? Because again, whether we like it or not, Uti, you called us mushroom NGOs. There's still room for people like us in the scheme of things. You know, because like what I do, for instance, with my NGO, I don't think anybody's doing it, right? So I like to engage children intellectually. So they play games of chess, Scrabble, and IO annually, you know, over 3,000 children gathered in a hall, and we make sure that the winners go home. So the goal was supposed to match up. So when you have intellectual events, usually it is a handshake and 10,000 naira, thank you for coming. But we're trying to also up the game. First of all, it is done world-class standard, you know, and secondly, it's also to ensure that these children look forward to playing the games because they are winning something substantial. So there's seed funds towards their school fees, and there's also, we give them gadgets. So we give them laptops, we give them tablets and all of that. We give them school bags. So there's a lot that goes on. So it is almost, and again, it's around the new term. So just before September, you do it in August, and a lot of children are engaged in it. So they're looking forward to coming for it. So they know that there's something that their intellect can earn them. So it's like placing value on their intellectual capacity, right? But you see, there's a room for somebody like me, the mushroom NGO. But how do I begin to get it right that I am not bridging any form of, you know, so that tomorrow nobody comes to accuse me of being fraudulent? Because sometimes, again, ignorance, but they say in law, ignorance is, what do you call them, is no excuse. You know, ignorance sometimes play out hugely in some of these things. People don't know. Because there's room to just start a church like that, especially in Nigeria, or start an NGO. You just start and you don't check what needs to be in place. Yeah.
So what are their guidelines, like we talked about, for these NGOs? The KAMA has empowered the CAC, you know, to register NGOs and just watch over them. Instead of them to, like now we talked about the UK. In the UK, they have the charity commissions that check and balance everything NGOs. So now we have the CAC, we have the KAMA. So, but instead of them to, you know, look at the NGOs and see what they are not doing and see what they're supposed to be doing, you know, just generally regulate them. In 2020, the KAMA made new provisions regarding the administrations of churches. So when we are looking at NGO in the UK and in the world over, we look at NGOs, non-profit organization, non-governmental organizations, but CAC has narrowed theirs down to the churches. You understand? So I think that's where the problem starts from. So these new provisions came out in 2020, and it's talking about the CAC having power to remove trustees in the NGO and appoint new trustees, even non-Christian trustees, to run the church.
Yeah.
So that in the first place is wrong, you know. So there has been major apprehension among Christian folks concerning this new provision. So for me now, if I were to answer your question, like how are you supposed to run your NGO correctly, like I said, there are guidelines in CAC, in CAMA. You can look them up. File returns. Are you filing your returns? Who are the board of trustees in your NGO?
Yeah.
Are you up to 3? Or are you less than 3? You're not supposed to be less than 3.
We have 3. We did a proper registration.
Okay, fine. So what are your objectives? Are you following your objectives? You know, so you just look at these things and then you just make sure you are in line with everything that your objective says. You have a constitution. You know, everything is founded on the constitution of the NGO. So you just go back to the books and look at what you are doing, what you're not doing, and just correct it. Because one day I believe that Nigeria will get to the place where we would start to follow things according to the books. And then you won't want to be found wanting in that time. Yeah.
So Uti, I was going to ask, Uti if, oh, okay. Uti, can you hear me?
She's there.
Yeah, but it's very faint.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I was just going to ask you that, you know, I'm losing my thought.
Why?
I don't know why I'm losing my thought. But I was going to ask you, what's your take on, what's it called, the infrastructural, currently as we run our NGOs in Nigeria, do you think we're doing it fairly? You know, are we doing it well in Nigeria?
I don't even know that we have enough insight or data to be able to make that assertion of whether it's right or wrong. I think what we know is that there are enough gaps for us to be able to take advantage of it, right? Anything, like Manny says, has anybody asked you for your returns? Is anybody checking what you're doing? If you're actually meeting the conditions of the organization that you've set up. So typically, if you're setting this up, do you have some sort of charter or some sort of bylaws, something that guides how you operate, where you source your funds, what funds can be spent on. So all these governance issues, right, that should actually be monitored. Right now, it's at the discretion of whoever the founder is, whether or not how they choose to raise funds, where they choose to source the funds from, whether or not they're accountable for how the funds are spent. So there's a lot of gaps. So we don't know now the extent of the abuse. I mean, we see the stories from time to time. I remember reading a story, I think somewhere in 2020, of a young man who had approached, I believe it was a UK or US charity, to raise funds in the name of, I believe it was safe abortions for girls in Borno, or something to do with Boko Haram. And he had essentially just realized that this was a free-for-all. He could claim whatever, because it was an African country, he could fake whatever documents or whatever he needed to prove to this organization that he was actually going to genuinely spend these funds for the cause. And of course, which he didn't. So he was just living a lavish lifestyle of the money that he was collecting. So we see these kinds of cases periodically. But the truth is, do we even have a real scope on the amount of NGOs that we have? Yes, we have some that are registered, right? But like we said, a lot of people are doing charity. A lot of people are out there feeding people, educating people, and none of it is tracked. So it is really about how big is the NGO sector in Nigeria, or the charitable sector, philanthropy sector in Nigeria. Can we really say that we know how big it is? For us to then talk about the structure. If it comes to, yes, when we register it, like Manny was saying, you can register an NGO today, just like you can register a company. So do we have some rules and guidelines in place? We do. But as always, what is being enforced, what is being monitored, what is being managed appropriately, that we cannot speak to. So even take orphanages, for example. We have lots of orphanages all over the place. People, you see pictures all the time making the rounds on social media. Either one organization or one celebrity or somebody has gone to give rice and noodles and all of these things. who's to say that those things are actually, you know, the orphanages are actually using it as they should, and you know, one staff is not just like, hey ho, I'm hungry, here's a box of noodles, I'll just take it home. So are these checks and balances in place at the level of the NGOs, but even at a level where it's being monitored? That I don't think we have, and I think we can certainly do better. If there's a lot more confidence in that sector, we could see a lot more people spending a lot more money to give.
Absolutely. Mani, what do you think the challenges are? What's the real problem? Why can't we have that?
In Nigeria, we have issues like what he's talking about, regulators. We have issues with regulators. We have issues with regulations. You know, so if people don't even know it, we register NGOs here like we're just registering a limited liability company, and there's supposed to be a difference. So many people register NGOs because they don't want to pay taxes. But the truth is, many companies in Nigeria don't even pay taxes, and the government don't even know these companies, you know. But I think the major issue, especially if I want to address what Uti is saying, is regulations and regulators. Another major issue that we have with the NGOs is the founders issue. In the UK, they change the board of trustees every 7, 8, 10 years. But in Nigeria, we have the same board of trustees forever.
Now you did there when God they give me the vision.
I'm telling you, like, what are you doing there? Why are you the only signatory to the church's account? Why are you the only signatory to your organization? So
you were not there when I was called, man.
Yes, I know, it wasn't a conference call. Yes, we know that, but then again, that is a major issue. You understand? So because of this lack of regulators, we can do these things that we are not supposed to do, and then it continues to happen. Nobody governs, and then everybody continues doing.
But is it deliberate that the church is actually, or most of the NGOs keep away what it is that they're earning, because maybe for the fear of maybe the government asking them to start paying taxes or something? Is that
part of the reason why this whole issue came up in 2020 was because of the lavish way pastors were living. A lot of pastors have more than 2, 3 private jets. They are driving luxury cars. You understand? So why the government is thinking, so why are we not taxing these people?
It's the blessing of the Lord. And
yeah, we know.
There's no sorrow to it, baby.
Well, we know, but it now brings us back to that place. Why are we not taxing these people? Because they are living even better than the government, like government officials, or even, foreign organization workers. So, and all this is happening because nobody is regulating them. Uti said something about what happened in KICC. They decided to buy a car. These are things that happen in Nigeria all the time. They buy cars for their pastors. They buy jets, private jets for pastors. They do a lot of things. Who is regulating? Where are these monies? What are the monies being used for? Are these money being used for what they said the objectives of the organizations?
Well, so let me help you out. Wait, I want to ask a very, very innocent question, Mani. Don't use your lawyer eye to look at me. I just want to know, is it possible for a church to have a clear objective? Because these days, churches do everything.
No, they
pay hospital bills, they pay school fees, they give you money for your rent, they give you house, they give you. So, is it possible to actually streamline? I'm just focusing on the churches now. So, if it's an NGO like mine that is focused on children, I have a clear goal. My own is clear. My goal is to focus on. I cannot come and if you meet me as a mommy, sorry, I don't have your budget. But I'm saying that for churches, it's going to be very tough. For religious bodies,
no,
right?
all those things come under charitable donations. So I think they're allowed to make charitable donations.
So they can tell you that the car that they are buying for the pastor is charitable donation.
No, you know why? In the UK, if you have a car that is for your organization, you cannot, the pastor has no right to use the organization's car privately, maybe to pick his children or to go for his own runs. No, he has no right to do that. So that means the church has no right to use the funds of that organization to buy a car. Wow. Yeah. So it's highly regulated. That's why everything works the way it works, and that's why you see the post that you saw today.
So they said that let's go back to this church man.
Okay.
Right. They said that the company's financial statement in 2 years to December 2021 set out to be 610,000 pounds of rent expenditure, I mean, there are so many misappropriations. I think something around his rentals, right? That there were too many. Then he was coercing, what's it called? Coercing the church members, right? To vulnerable people and the youth. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Much of his charitable work were based in London, working particularly. I'm trying to find the part where they talked about him coercing the members, you know, to make donations and all of that.
Which is what they all do, like it's normal.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like this is what we see regularly. So why would they call it a fraudulent activity? So is it that as bodies, Christian bodies, you're not allowed to ask members to donate or something? Is it that it is illegal?
You used the word what? You said they were trying to
coerce.
Yes. Yes, they are not supposed to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's...
Yeah, it's okay to ask for donations, but you don't try to force the hands of your members to give you money. Yes.
Otielu.
Yes, ma'am.
I think this issue...
I'm struggling to hear you guys, but go ahead.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Oti.
So sorry.
It's actually a straightforward case. There are laws guiding these NGOs. We just don't follow these laws because there's nobody watching to see who's following. You understand? When you started reading, you talked about the laws, you talked about administration. So there's no administration. You understand? So that's why things are the way they are. And then it happens that it's always Nigerian pastors are always getting into this kind of issues abroad, because in Nigeria we do things and we get away with them, but abroad we do not get away with them. Yeah.
So if you had something to say to the pastor, what would you say to him now?
Well, so I mean, it's very simple, right? I think that in a place like Nigeria, you can say it's ambiguous. You can say it's not clear, that I don't know or I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But remember that I said that even if you say you didn't,
ignorance is
precedent exists. You have seen a very similar organization like yourself go through a particular process. So if you are now being asked to account for £1.87 million, and the UK government is able to hold you to say there's a lack of transparency, these monies have been spent, there is no clear trail of how the money has been spent. So essentially, that means that you've not been keeping your books accurately, or you've been treating it as whether it's that you were treating it as a personal purse, or you were just bad at accounting, or you just gave a couple of examples of things that churches do. It could also very well be that this money had been spent in a purely honest way, and it was just pure accounting. But we don't have, at least I don't have enough information from what I've read about this to show that the church has been properly investigated. So I don't believe that they have responded yet. But the investigation is still ongoing. What I would say for this pastor, and in fact, not this pastor, because his own case is irredeemable now, at least the investigation church has been shut down. But for pastors that find themselves, particularly in the UK, particularly outside of Nigeria, don't take Nigerian anyhowness abroad. It's not going to work. There are clear rules. Ignorance is no defense. You need to learn what the rules say you can.
I was going to say that. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Something.
You know, I just saw the picture. I was going to tell them to put on the picture. They said they are looking for 1.9 million pounds. The shirt is wearing. Let them start from there.
But I don't even want to go down that route, because there are many ways in which you can make money.
The 1.9
so I come back to the KICC example. At the time when that issue happened, Pastor Matthew wasn't actually drawing a salary from the church, right? He chose to make his own money from his other businesses, right? And a lot of pastors do that. So I don't even want to look at that. But this one now is really, we can't keep seeing these things happen. And you know what it does? What is sad for me is that it shines a negative spotlight on the church, on the Pentecostal, these churches of Nigerian origin. We have plenty of them. So it begins to shine a negative spotlight on that, in the mind of the UK government or Charities Commission. Oh, do we now need to start looking into all Nigerian, faith-based organizations? So the fact is, I want to believe that most of these people are doing the right thing or want to do the right thing, but you can't hide behind ignorance. And the tune of money, 1.9 million pounds. Even Naira, 1.9 million is money, comes up of pounds, and we know what the exchange rate is. So it's a lot of money that we're talking about that has gone, that is allegedly unaccounted for. So you can't have that kind of money passing through your organization and you don't have a proper structure to manage it. It's not going to end well, as we can see here. So the guide for other pastors, like you said, there's enough precedent. If you're in the UK, if you're in the US, if you're outside of Nigeria, I mean, in fact, even if you're in Nigeria, put proper governance structures in place.
Absolutely.
So that you put your faith, you position your faith in the right light. We've had so many different discussions on the show. I remember when Sanzi and I were talking about the pastor and the private jets. And I'm like, can we just do enough to put this faith in the right light and not keep having to talk about money when we talk about the Christian faith?
Absolutely. Mani, I was going to ask that if he comes back eventually to then, like, what's it called, like account, do a proper auditing, they come to the system, is it possible for him to be redeemed back, like, reinstated, right?
Yes, of course.
So all he needs to do is just be accountable, right?
Yes, if that really is what the issue is.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. If you had any final words?
Yeah, final words. I'll say for us in Nigeria, our regulators don't know the regulations. Yes, so I would say that the CAC is a government agency, and our government has a record of being inefficient and corrupt. So if the CAC is the body that is supposed to be regulating the NGOs, we see why there's a problem.
Means that there will not be some way forward. A lot of messages are coming on Peter Obi. Obviously, they are watching us on GoTV. So we're not taking those messages. But I mean, this is why you see a lot of churches, a lot of pastors harassing people, saying donate. Because when they donate that money, nobody goes back to account. Only very few churches. And I must commend my church, Daystar.
I would like to commend the Elevation Church.
The Elevation Church, because he's a protege.
Yeah.
He's a protege. He was trained well by Daystar Christian Center. When you go there, you know that it's an organizational structure. They have a proper structure. It's not like, this is a one-man kind of thing. So if Pastor Sam decides to say, I'm retiring from pastoring, the church goes on.
And that's one of the benefits of the NGO. It's supposed to continue.
And that's also what the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Baptists, those are the structures that they have
in place.
Right? So I think all these things that we're talking about when it comes to churches are more linked to the Pentecostal churches, right? The modern churches and all of that. If not, if you look at the old structure of churches, they had all those structures in place, right? So hopefully, like Uti has rightly advised, if you are going to, you can only try this in Nigeria. You're going to the UK, please comport yourself. There is actually supposed to be an ideal business structure for running a non-for-profit organization. I think it would be best for you to follow through, cross all the T's and dot all the I's, so you don't be caught, wanting. Thank you so much, ladies. We had a fantastic, this has been a blissful week. Let me just leave it there. Thank you, Uti. We had a fantastic conversation. Now, before we go, do follow us on Instagram. You can follow us, interact with us, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. The real development I've seen of people in organizations, especially in big ones, comes from their being volunteers in a non-for-profit organization where you have responsibilities, you see results, and you quickly learn what your values are. There is no better way to understand your strength and discover where you belong than to volunteer in a non-for-profit. Now, that is probably the great opportunity for the social sector, and especially in its relationship to business. A lot of great things happen in churches, a lot of great things happen in non-for-profit, right? So let's not abuse it. Let's learn the structure and put the structures in place. We'll see you guys live on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
Now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga. Having concluded the process of selecting their candidates, the stage is now set for Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, APC, and main opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, to deploy strategies at their disposal to outwit each other in the forthcoming 2023 general elections in Nigeria. Expectedly, the oil-rich South-South geopolitical zone, currently dominated by the PDP, will become a major battlefront where both political parties will test their popularity during the incoming polls. In this special report, Inside the Niger Delta takes a look at how discontents trailing the selection process of PDP governorship candidates in the South-South geopolitical zone could affect the party's chances in 2023.
Between 1999 and 2015, all 6 states in Nigeria's South-South geopolitical zone, with exception of Edo State, were under the firm grip of the PDP. At the time, securing the party's ticket was all a candidate needed to be elected as the governor of a state. However, the political landscape was altered significantly in 2015 when the APC came to power. Since then, political actors who were once members of one political family have become strange bedfellows whose loyalty is now divided between the APC and PDP. Knowing that the South-South geopolitical zone, which produces the bulk of Nigeria's oil wealth, is a coveted possession, the APC had before this time made frantic efforts to assume political dominance in these parts of the country. For Nigeria's ruling party, 2023 will be no exception, as it would most likely deploy its formidable political war chest to dislodge the PDP in the South-South. According to Dr. Richard Nwokocha, a senior lecturer at the Law Faculty of the Rivers State University, 2023 is a day of reckoning for the PDP in Nigeria's oil belt.
For an opposition party, an election is an opportunity to highlight the errors of the incumbent government and to show the people why their party has better policies that the people should go for and support. On the other hand, for an incumbent government or an incumbent party, election is an audit period when it is to account to the electorate on its policies, its programs, and its activities throughout the period of its government. So it's strictly stock-taking time, and the outcome of such election will depend on performance of the governments of the states and the South-South.
The odds against the PDP may not be unconnected to the questionable process leading to the emergence of the party's governorship candidates in Rivers, Delta, and Akwa Ibom states. At the PDP governorship primaries in Rivers State, Similaye Fubara, an ally of Governor Nyesom Wike, clinched the party's governorship ticket last month. Mr. Fubara, immediate past accountant general of the state, who is generally viewed as a stranger to Rivers politics, had defeated known political heavyweights including Wenike Danagogo, immediate past secretary to the Rivers State government, Engineer Tele Ikuru, a former deputy governor of the state, and Dr. Abiye Sekibo, a one-time minister of transport. While most PDP stalwarts have decided to be quiet about the outcome of the governorship primaries, there's no telling how they would react in the build-up to the general elections. In 2019, the PDP had a field day in Rivers State as the APC was excluded from the ballot through a judicial pronouncement. Coordinator of the Bola Tinubu campaign in the South-South, Tony Okocha, says the APC has been reorganized and ready to take over in Rivers State.
It has to be keen. You know, the other time we missed it. We missed it because we had our own internal altercations, we had our internal disagreements. And for that matter, we were unable to field candidates, so PDP had a field day. But as we speak, going forward and knowing what we know, and also agreeing or believing that we were able to strike a truce, I think if we have a formidable force, then PDP will be in for trouble in Rivers State.
In Delta State, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori, the preferred candidate of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, is the governorship flag bearer of the PDP. The 2023 governorship election in Delta State is a straight fight between Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, and Senator Ovie Omoagege, Deputy Senate President, who is governorship candidate of the APC. Senator Omoagege, a former secretary to the Delta State government, is a grassroots politician with a massive political support base in Delta politics. Fortunately for him, he is the consensus governorship candidate of the APC, whose members will most likely reach out to their aggrieved counterparts in the PDP for a political compromise in 2023. The disaffection greeting the PDP governorship primaries is quite palpable in Akwa Ibom State, where Governor Udom Emmanuel's preferred successor, Umo Eno, emerged as the party's governorship candidate in 2023. For aggrieved members of the party and other observers, the emergence of Mr. Eno, a former commissioner of lands and water resources, is an outright imposition by Governor Udom Emmanuel, who had earlier endorsed his preferred successor, whom he openly anointed to step into his shoes, much to the dismay of other aspirants in the contest. A Port Harcourt-based legal practitioner, Chuks Oguru, fears that the imposition of governorship candidates by PDP governors in Nigeria's South-South geopolitical zone may result in undesirable consequences.
When you try to impose a successor, you offend some people, even members of your own party. So the opposition, if they are smart about it, they can take advantage of all that and do a different kind of campaign and reach out to the citizens.
In Cross River State, the APC has been in control since May 2021, when Governor Ben Ayade officially dumped the PDP. Most big names in Cross River politics had chosen to remain in the PDP, which has produced Senator Sandy Ono as its governorship candidate. In the ongoing power tussle between Nigeria's two biggest political parties in the South-South geopolitical zone, Barrister Chuks Oguru maintains that the APC is the party to beat, all the more so when it is the ruling political party.
It's not impossible because we saw it in Bielsa the other time. APC was voted in, also the results showed, but through the fiat of the Supreme Court, the APC was removed and PDP came back. So it's not impossible if they can put their houses in order. More importantly, when they are the government at the center.
In trying to win previous elections at all costs, the APC and PDP reportedly resorted to manipulation of the electoral process in the South-South geopolitical zone. According to Dr. Richard Mukocha, it will no longer be business as usual in 2023.
We are under the regime of the direct transmission of results. If you carry a ballot box, that ballot box is wasted. You cannot carry a ballot box, stuff it, and put back. Direct transmission means that as candidates get accredited and they vote, the vote they cast in that exercise will automatically reflect in the situation room of INEC, which will also be open to the public. So parties need to understand this so that they will not dissipate their energy and waste their time.
As the 2023 governorship elections inch closer, it is the expectation of voters that the political parties will play by the rules of the game to minimize incidences of violence recorded in the past. They also look up to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to provide a level playing field for all political parties and their candidates to uphold the integrity of forthcoming governorship elections across states in Nigeria's South-South geopolitical zone.
Inside the Niger Delta.
History was made in 2015 when the People's Democratic Party, PDP, became the first political party to concede electoral defeat to an opposition party in Nigeria. After an unsuccessful attempt to relaunch itself to power in 2019, the PDP says it is poised now more than ever before to trounce the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in the 2023 presidential election. To this end, the PDP may have to rely on the wide contacts and political structures built over the years by its members, one of whom is Senator Seriake Dickson, immediate past governor of Bayelsa State, now representing Bayelsa West Senatorial District in the Senate.
At its national convention last month, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Nigeria's main opposition party, nominated former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as its presidential candidate in readiness to capture the reins of power from the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, in 2023. To actualize its goal, the PDP will have to get the voting masses on its side by convincing them with a credible manifesto that offers a better deal in governance. However, presidential elections all over the world is not just a tea party, and Nigeria is no exception. And so, the PDP will have to look inwards to draw copious strength from the political value and assets of its members nationwide to be able to achieve its political ends in 2023. Without a shadow of doubt, Senator Henry Seriake Dickson, member representing Bayelsa West Senatorial District in the Senate, is one man the PDP must identify with as it plans to upstage the ruling party from the seat of power come 2023. Senator Seriake Dickson, who governed Bayelsa State between 2012 and 2020, ventured into politics in 1998 with wide contacts he had established as an active member of the pro-democracy movement in Nigeria. In 1999, the Torora-born politician served as founding chairman of the defunct Alliance for Democracy, AD, in Bayelsa State. At the time, he was a strong voice in the opposition and held the government of the day to account on several issues bordering on the well-being of Bayelsa State and its people. While making commendable efforts to entrench democracy in the state, he had worked tirelessly to create a niche for the AD in the political equation of Bayelsa State. Under his chairmanship, the AD had jolted the ruling People's Democratic Party in Bayelsa State when it produced 3 members of the State House of Assembly, a member of the House of Representatives, and a senator in the person of Senator Difa. It was on account of his astuteness in politics and visionary leadership that President Goodluck Jonathan, then governor of Bayelsa State, convinced him to join the PDP and appointed him Commissioner of Justice and Attorney General of the state. In appreciation of his stewardship, Seriake Dickson was called upon to represent Sagbama Ikirimo Federal Constituency in 2007. Few years later, he was found worthy to preside over the affairs of Bayelsa. And so in 2012, he joined the governorship race and was elected governor of Bayelsa State. It is on record that the Ofruma Pepe, as he is fondly called by his teeming supporters, is the only governor to have served out 2 terms as governor of Bayelsa State. While he held sway as governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Dickson embarked on several projects and programs to promote physical and human capital development in the relatively young state at the time. As governor of Bayelsa State, which he refers to as the Jerusalem of all Ijaw people, Senator Dickson was able to galvanize Ijaws within and outside Bayelsa State into an indivisible socio-political entity. As a demonstration of his pan-Ijaw outlook in national affairs, the former governor of Bayelsa State appointed several Ijaw sons and daughters who were not indigenes of the state into his cabinet. He had also served as a mentor to the Ijaw National Congress (INC) and the Ijaw Youth Council (IYC), urging them to champion their demand for resource control and environmental justice in a non-violent manner. In recognition of his leadership role, Senator Dickson was conferred with a chieftaincy title in Kaboway Kingdom of Patani in Delta State in March 2018. The former governor of Bayelsa State is also a recipient of a chieftaincy title conferred on him by Ohaneze Ndigbo. He is also a title chief of Idoma Kingdom. On account of his selfless service to the survival of the Ijaw nation, Senator Dickson is seen as a worthy successor to the retiring Chief Edwin Clark as leader of the Ijaw nation. Instructively, the Ijaw nation, which is indigenous to Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Delta, Edo and Ondo states, is Nigeria's 4th largest ethnic group with a massive voting strength that Senator Seriake Dickson can easily mobilize for the PDP in the forthcoming 2023 presidential election. Senator Dickson, a respected Ijaw leader, is an Iroko tree with taproots with branches reaching out to several parts of Nigeria. Till date, he has maintained cordial relations with his maternal Ijebu tribe of the Yoruba ethnic stock in Nigeria. Needless to say, the likes of Dickson are competent hands with extensive contacts and wide political reach that will be instrumental to the anticipated victory of the PDP in the 2023 presidential election in Nigeria. Beyond competence, Senator Dickson has been a loyal partyman who has held various positions in service to the People's Democratic Party. In time past, Senator Dickson had chaired PDP Governors Forum and Party's Reconciliation Committee. Senator Henry Seriake Dickson, lawyer, pro-democracy activist and grassroots politician from Bayelsa State, is indeed an invaluable asset to the PDP as the party contemplates staging a return to power in 2023.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Azikiel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azikiel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development. Everything home, all in one place. Visit Home Options today at 22 Aba Port Harcourt Express Road, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, or call 080-998-08678 or 080-331-34055 or visit our website www.homeoptionsng.com.
Indigenes of Bodo community in Gokana local government area of Rivers State have called for speedy completion of the Bodo Bonny Road construction project to ease transport and commercial hiccups in the area. The call was made recently when Inside the Niger Delta visited Bodo to ascertain the completion stage of the Bodo Bonny Road construction project.
The Bodo Bonny Road construction project was initiated some 5 decades ago to address infrastructure deficits in the Niger Delta region. It was specifically designed to provide a direct link between isolated coastal communities and their hinterland counterparts in Nigeria's oil-rich region. Although the idea was to promote rapid socio-economic development in the region, the project had been delayed by lack of funding by successive administrations. Soon after President Muhammadu Buhari's election in 2015, his government took a bold step to activate the moribund project. In 2017, the federal government and the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas (NLNG) agreed to provide counterpart funds required to successfully execute the 120 billion Bodo Bonny Road construction project. While the NLNG has since released 60 billion naira to ensure completion of the project as part of its corporate social responsibility, the federal government has been unable to raise its share of the counterpart fund. In a bid to facilitate the completion of the road projects, the federal government in April 2021 granted the NLNG a 20 billion naira tax waiver to carry on with the project. Right now, the 37.9-kilometer Bodo Bonny Road, designed with 3 major bridges and 9 mini bridges, is at over 37% completion stage. Members of Bodo community in Rivers State, who are direct beneficiaries, want the federal government to speed up the project to meet its completion date of December 31st, 2023.
The job is a standard job, but the speed is not as expected. I'm not sure that they will be able to meet up with the timeline.
I need the federal government to speed up this work, because I'm suspecting that if Buhari hands over power to another man, the next president will abandon the project.
The Bodo Bonny Road construction project is critical to the socio-economic development of several oil-producing communities in Rivers Southeast Senatorial Districts. Peter Gbara, an indigene of Bodo community, is optimistic that when completed, the project will drastically aid development in its host communities.
By God's grace, if the road is accomplished, most of the land here, most of the house here, you have some talent and some people. Not only that, you have some business go on regularly and we benefit from it well.
Bodo in Gokana local government area of Rivers State and Bonny Island are neighboring communities that are not directly accessible by road. Consequently, both communities have had to circumnavigate through Port Harcourt for several hours to establish contacts. Over the years, such travels have been an unpleasant experience for the communities, which is why they want the federal government to expedite the process of constructing the Bodo Bonny Road.
It makes our traveling easy, rather taking through boats and maybe we are attacked by sea pirates. I prefer the road is very good.
The road where then they pass go Bonny for Port Harcourt, the sea, it get problem. So this one not get problem. So it go be easy to people who then go from Bonny, go for Port Harcourt.
According to host communities, the Bodo Bonny Road construction project will go down in history as one of the biggest accomplishments of President Buhari in the Niger Delta if it is completed on record time after many years of neglect.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Property owners and residents of Rumoke community in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State have lauded the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) for completing internal road construction projects embarked upon by the commission several years ago. Some residents who spoke to Inside the Niger Delta recently said they were convinced that the NDDC had been reinvigorated to effectively carry out its statutory obligation to transform the Niger Delta region.
Prior to commencement of the NDDC forensic audit few years back, abandoned projects awarded by the Commission for Emergency Repairs and Construction of unmotorable internal roads littered major towns and cities in the Niger Delta. However, most erring contractors handling such projects had quickly returned to site for fear of being sanctioned. In the last 2 years, Port Harcourt residents, particularly those residing in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State, appear to have been major beneficiaries of improved service delivery occasioned by the NDDC forensic audit. With the recent completion of Route 10 of First Avenue at the new road layout of Rumoke community in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State, residents now have cause to smile. Chairman of the Landlords Association in the area, Engineer Godde Osade, describes it as a timely intervention by the NDDC.
The road was in a very bad state. Since the beginning of this road, the landlord had been managing it, using hard coal and every other valuable equipment to make sure that it's motorable. But we're lucky, thank God that at the end of the day, NDDC came to our rescue. The movement has been smooth and less stressful. At least the money we used to wash our cars and repair have really reduced.
The brand new road is paved with asphalt and has a drainage system to make it last long. A resident, Kennedy Amadi, describes it as a good job.
They did a good job anyway. Yeah, I can't take it from them. The drainage, both sides, is fantastic. They can still come back, mobilize and complete the 2nd and 3rd Avenue. It will be nice for the people living here.
Another resident, Abiola Hussein, says the new road built by the NDDC has improved its lifestyle.
We can now comfortably come out of our house early in the morning to jog. So most of us come early. I mean, you could see I'm still in my outfit. Yeah, it's because I came out jogging. So most families do come out early in the morning from 5:30 a.m. to jog.
Hussein further observes that real estate business has picked up in the surrounding neighborhood as a result of the new road provided by the NDDC.
It has also added value to our properties, because now we now see influx of people wanting to buy vacant plots on the streets, and most of them are also hurriedly building their vacant plots as well. So which means, this kind of development is making life better for us, and it's also increasing our investments and at the same time making our environment more secure.
The new emphasis on completing long-abandoned projects is a paradigm shift in the project management culture of the NDDC and is expected to strengthen the Commission to improve on its service delivery to blighted communities in the Niger Delta.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, making a difference.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, just before we wrap it up on the program, former Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Chief Ndutimi Alaibe, last week marked his 60th birthday in Lagos, where family and friends converged to celebrate with him. The occasion of Chief Alaibe's Diamond Jubilee celebration was graced by many who describe him as an icon of the Niger Delta.
He is the pride of the Niger Delta. He's one of the people that we look up to and that we hope will provide leadership and direction for the youths. He has done this consistently, and I pray that he never stops doing so.
Let me join your friends in wishing you very, very happy birthday.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm humbled that you all came out for me to celebrate 60 years. I'm happy, I'm humbled. I appreciate you all. All I can say, God Almighty has been wonderful.
And from inside the Niger Delta, it's 60 healthy cheers to Chief Timi Alaibe, who over the years has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the development of the Niger Delta region. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. Until next week, I am Mamode Akuga, thanking you for staying tuned. Bye for now.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Here are success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
On Plus TV News now. Bola Tinubu, Peter Obi submit names of running mates to INEC. All set for Ekiti governorship election. CSO raises concern over violence. Sudan faces acute food insecurity. Hello and welcome. Good evening, I'm Tolu Ojomi and this is the news now. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has submitted the name of his running mate to INEC. He is Kabir Ibrahim Masari. INEC had fixed Friday, June 16, as the deadline for parties to send in names of their vice presidential candidates. Also, the Labour Party has submitted the name of Doyo Okupe as Peter Obi's running mate. Okupe's name was submitted as part of the plan to beat the Friday, June 17 deadline given by INEC to political parties. Okupe, who is the Director General of Peter Obi Campaign Organization, will be the placeholder and will later be changed after the party stakeholders must have agreed on the suitable vice presidential candidate for the 2023 presidential election. Recall that the party had said its vice president would come from the north. In the meantime, INEC has distributed sensitive materials for the conduct of the June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State, and that's what's fast-tracking the process, as it's expected to have an appreciable number of eligible voters turn out for the exercise. The resident electoral commissioner, Ekiti State, Tella Adeniro, who performed the distribution in Ado-Ekiti, reiterated the determination of the commission to conduct a free, fair, and acceptable governorship election in the state.
All these sensitive materials that have been matched into our local governments. We have the ballot papers, we have the papers, we have the resource sheets, and this form part of the transparency that we have been embarking upon in the commission. Not only saying this, but to see it.
Meanwhile, the civil society organizations have appealed to the residents of Ekiti to shun violence and report cases of financial inducements to the appropriate authorities.
Key stakeholders and members of the public should be adequately informed of INEC's new strategy for the deployment of sensitive materials. Additionally, and keeping in mind that security isn't within the remits of INEC, that security agencies should support the quest for credible and peaceful polls by providing adequate security to INEC to guarantee the safety of sensitive materials and their timely deployment to the polling unit.
Because the youth have made up their mind. So any leader that I think is going to go out on Saturday or has already planned a method to use thugs or fake observers that we've seen around, carrying bags on election day, which we have told the police and the security already, that they should check these people that are going around with bags. Anybody that has 500,000 naira in his or her bag on the election day should be arrested.
Amen. Olasukomi Ogumoko is on standby. Hello, Sukomi.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, what's the environment like in Ekiti State?
Yes, good evening. Let me start by letting our audience know more about the election in Ekiti. Election in Ekiti State will hold tomorrow, as we all know, and we have 16 local governments, and number of the ward across the 16 local governments is 177 wards. And we have number of 24,445 polling units. And the register voters is 988,923,000. And we have 60 contest candidates in the election tomorrow.
Okay, what's the situation like in the state? Some groups have raised concerns over insecurity. So we want to know: is everywhere looking safe? Is there calm in the atmosphere? What's the milieu like?
Yes, the INEC has distributed the sensitive materials to all the 16 local governments yesterday, and all the sensitive materials has arrived all the 16 local governments, and the security agencies are on ground, and we have police and the military who are deployed to monitor the election in the state. We have 17,000 officers, and NLDC has also deployed 9,747 men and officers for the election.
That's impressive. That's quite impressive. Now, have you heard calls from certain quarters about concerns on security? You just told us what the police and the NSCDC have done to ensure there is a hitch-free outing tomorrow. But have you heard calls from certain quarters, maybe some candidates raising an eyebrow about the security situation, or some of the electorate in some local governments writing or calling out asking for more security beef up?
Although Inspector General of Police Usman Akali Baba, through the Deputy Inspector General of Police Force, CID, and coordinating DID for Southwest, who is the Ekiti State Election Security Commander for the Ekiti State Gubernatorial Election, DIG, Joksim Babatunde Kokumo, said Nigeria Police Force has mobilized all necessary assets in partnership with other security agencies to provide adequate security and ensure free, fair and credible election in Ekiti State.
Thank you very much, Sukombi.
The Inspector General of Police equally order the restriction of movement within the state, particularly along the entry and exit point of Ekiti State, with effect from 12 a.m. Saturday, 18th of June 2022 to 6 p.m. of the same day. Military as well as other security agencies have been deployed across the state border to enforce the restriction order to the data and ensure criminal-minded individuals.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Still on Ekiti governorship election tomorrow, INEC has appealed to its staff to uphold the Commission's code of conduct, display usual sense of responsibility, professionalism, and firmly resist any unethical behavior during the Ekiti governorship election tomorrow. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who made the appeal in Abuja in his message to INEC staff on the state's election, advised them to ensure that no political party or candidate was accorded any advantage over the others. Yakubu said from June 2021, when INEC released the timetable and schedule of activities for the poll, it had collectively implemented several activities and taken every step to guarantee a free, fair, credible, and inclusive process. Now, Clean Foundation has called on all stakeholders, INEC participants, political parties, the media, CSOs, observer groups, and the electorate to play by the rules as set out by INEC. The effort should be made to educate and sensitize the citizens on the need to avoid all forms of violence in the election and hate speeches. The acting executive director of Clean Foundation, Ruth Olofi, while speaking with newsmen in Abuja, said the foundation will deploy about 32 citizen observers across the 16 local government areas of Ekiti.
We come down to the June 18, 2022 Ekiti governorship election. Clean Foundation calls on all stakeholders, particularly INEC, political parties, media, civil society organizations, observer groups, both domestic and international, and the electorate to play by the rules of the game as set out by INEC. Efforts should be made to educate and sensitize the citizens on the need to eschew all forms of violence in the elections, but especially with the rise of hate and insightful speeches.
Beyond INEC, up to civil society organizations, observer groups, media professionals. So it tells you that all of us are stakeholders towards a peaceful outcome of the elections. So our conduct contributes to making this happen. So you just use this platform to appeal to stakeholders to ensure that they play by the rules and do the needful towards the outcomes of the June 18th governorship elections in Ekiti State.
We have a data of 84.8% saying that the elections, they hope and they know that the elections will come out peacefully. But what we have here is, if you see, it's a threat assessment. So this is futuristic to say if these things are not put in place, this might actually result to conflict. That doesn't mean that we are saying that the election will come out not peaceful.
An election observer group in Nigeria's Situation Room has called on relevant stakeholders to ensure a violence-free governorship election in Ekiti State tomorrow. The convener of the group, Mr. James Ugochukwu, in a press briefing in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, noted that expectations were high for INEC to conduct the elections in a peaceful and transparent manner that would satisfy the people. He, however, described the political environment in Ekiti State as peaceful ahead of the Saturday governorship election in the state. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has warned its officers providing security during tomorrow's governorship election in Ekiti not to take sides with any politician or political parties. NSCDC Acting Deputy Commandant General, DCG Operations, that's Mohammed Haruna, gave the warning today in Ekiti. That was while addressing officers and men deployed there for the poll. Haruna charged them not to do anything that will soil the reputation of the agency, adding that NSCDC could not afford to lose its confidence in civil relationship with Nigerians. Ahead of tomorrow's governorship election in Ekiti State, the non-governmental organization Pan-African Women Projects has called on the major actors in the election to shun any act that can undermine the integrity and credibility of the exercise. Speaking at a press briefing in Ado Ekiti Head Mission, Pan-African Women Projects, Dr. Eben Udensi explained that for the election to be generally accepted, all stakeholders must guard against any illegality and unwholesome practices.
We've seen a lot of hotels that have fully booked with several people. Many of them are parading themselves with tags that they are observers. And we have reported this incident to the DSS. We brought it to their notice that there should be a lot of scrutiny. People should be scrutinized during the elections, because most of these people who say they are observers, they are fake observers, and they may constitute a lot of nuisance in the elections on Saturday. We've also observed the vote buying agenda. In 2018, we were here for the elections and we know what had happened. But after so many programs of INEC has flopped, so many sensitization. Even recently, we have heard many of them have new mechanism on how they are going to be able to exchange their vote for money.
Aspect of the vote buying in terms of our prediction shows that there is going to be a high level of vote buying, and that is also to be calling the security agencies, INEC, and all the stakeholders to see what they can do around that. Then the other aspect is the aspect of voter turnout. We expect people to come out and vote in election tomorrow. However, one salient point is that it's not about coming out to vote alone, it's about also reducing the number of invalid votes. Could it be deliberate that people are not avoiding their votes? So these are the issues around the election. One of the things we are also saying is that we should not concentrate the security in Ado Ekiti alone. They need to go to all the local governments.
A little away from the elections tomorrow, tears flowed freely today at the funeral mass for the victims of the June 5 terror attack at the St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo. Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and his wife, Chief Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu, attended the funeral mass at the Midas Resort and Hotel, Owo. Governor Akeredolu, who wept during a speech, said the government failed to protect the victims of the terror attack. But in a swift response, the Bishop of Ondo Catholic Diocese, Dr. Jude Arogundade, declared that Governor Akeredolu had not failed in protecting his own people. Commanders of the Southwest Security Network, codenamed Amotekun Coups, have assured the people of the region that it will synergize towards ensuring that a repeat of attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, where almost 40 worshippers were killed, does not happen again anywhere in the Southwest. Ondo State Commander-in-Chief of the Coups, Akogwade Tunji Adele, who spoke on their behalf, gave the assurance while receiving the Coups commanders from the Southwest states who came to condole with the state and Christian family in Owo over the gruesome killings. He, however, thanked the governments of the region for their immense contributions and support towards ensuring that the coups respond swiftly to checkmate criminal activities.
The Ondo State people, we want to reassure them that the chief executives of all the western states are determined to continue to ensure the security of lives and property are guaranteed in these states. And we want the people to be rest assured that even the federal government and all other security agencies are not leaving any stone unturned.
I look at this as an attack on our collective will in the southwest states of Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate, like I said.
Nigerian troops have confirmed the rescue of one of the abducted Chibok girls kidnapped with over 200 others in 2014. The coordinator of Nigeria's Defense Media Operation, Major General Bernard Onyeko, gave an update of military operations in the last 2 weeks. He said that the kidnapped girl, who was rescued by troops around Goza axis of Borno State, located in Nigeria's northeast region, is suspected to have escaped from her captors with a baby. General Onyeko says troops in other operations neutralized over 40 terrorists while also clearing the enclave.
22 troops of 26 Task Force Brigade on clearance operation at Ngoshe, Borno State, intercepted one of the abducted Chibok girls by name Miss Mary Dauda, a 27-year-old, with her daughter. She is suspected to have escaped from Gara in Goza local government area of Borno State. Miss Mary Dauda is on Serial 6 of the Chibok girls list of 2014. The rescued mother and child are in one custody for medical checkup and rehabilitation. Notably, on 12 June 2022, they had a meeting encounter with Boko Haram terrorists as they cleared their enclave at Gazua in Bama local government area. Notably, a total of 57,004 of Boko Haram terrorists and their families have surrendered, comprising 12,546 males, 17,027 females, 27,430 children. All surrendered Boko Haram terrorists and items recorded have been handed over to appropriate authorities.
Now, the Taraba State Police Command has arrested a suspected bomb manufacturer, a member of the Boko Haram, linked to 3 bomb explosions recorded in the state this year. The suspect was arrested in his house, which he uses as a factory at Telatown within Gasol local government area of the state. He was apprehended with different arms, ammunition, explosives, and devices for manufacturing bombs. Bandits have abducted unspecified number of villages during an attack on Zomi town in Zamfara state. The bandits launched the attack on Thursday evening, shooting sporadically before whisking many away. Zomi is the headquarters of Zomi local government area in Zamfara state. The abductors, according to the sources, didn't kill anybody because they clearly just wanted to abduct the villagers. The House of Representatives has bemoaned the poor state of manholes in the FCT and has therefore called on the police and other security agencies in the FCT to ensure the safety of these manholes and the covers to avoid hoodlums taking advantage to cut them away for personal gains. The motion was sponsored by Honorable Musa Bali at plenary, where he expressed his worry over the unfortunate incident of theft to many of these manholes cover by hoodlums. He said the incident had led to damages in cars, human accidents leading to life-threatening injuries and sometimes death. And also these manholes serve as hideouts for thieves and night marauders. Other lawmakers also proffered some solutions to the state of these manholes.
And also note that the manhole of maintenance hole usually has a removable cover for the opening which is large enough for a person to pass through. Concerned that manhole cover in Federal Capital Territory are being stolen by unpatriotic individuals, leaving the manhole open and passing a grave danger to unsuspected motorized and pedestrians. Worried that many people have sustained permanent injury as a result of falling into open manhole, while many vehicle tires have been damaged as a result of running over the manhole.
In prayer 1, where said urge the Federal Capital Territory to immediately cover all the open manholes with locks. That with locks is very key. With locks, we should insert with locks, because if they are not locked, the issue is that they will go back and remove, and we are back to square one. So they will break the lock, but it will take them, but with locks. Thank you, sir.
The Supreme Court has affirmed the right of Muslim female students in Lagos to wear hijab to school without harassment or discrimination. Among those on the panel were Justice Olukayode Ariwola, Justice Kudirat Kekereakun, Justice John Inyang Okoro, Justice Uwani Aji, Justice Mohammed Garba, Justice Tijani Abubakar, and Justice Emmanuel Agim. While 6 ruled in favor of the use of hijab, 1 dissented. The Lagos government had in February 2017 approached the Supreme Court to challenge the July 21, 2016 judgment of the Court of Appeal, which reinstated the use of hijab by Muslim students in Lagos public primary and secondary schools. This was after the state government sought to stay the execution of the judgment at the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal, but failed. 10 years after first mooting the idea, the federal government has now outlined fresh plans to phase out the use of kerosene in the country. Addressing the virtual meeting hosted by President Joe Biden on the Major Economics Forum on Energy and Climate Change, MEF, today, President Buhari said that an updated nationally determined contribution to the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change had been submitted to replace the interim contribution of May 27, 2021. He restated Nigeria's commitment to a safer and healthier global climate, listing the country's updated NDC to include the elimination of kerosene lighting by 2030, an increase in the use of buses for public transport, and the reduction in the burning of crop residues. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the ultimate goal of his administration remains that Lagos State become one of the top places on the African continent to live, work, and invest. Sanwo-Olu said that these are the official commissioning and handing over of the reconstructed State Security Service building in Alimosho local government. He was represented by the Chief of Staff, Tayo Ayinde. He stressed that the huge investment in security hardware was yielding the desired dividend through the number of businesses springing up from local and foreign entities. The governor also noted that to further raise the bar of security and safety, he approved the reconstruction of existing office block of the DSS in Alimosho local government, adding that the edifice will be replicated across the state.
The impact that it's going to have in this area is to give more security to the people of Alimosho local government. And because Alimosho local government is the largest local government in the federation, they have more population than any local government in the federation. And we secure the approval of the governor for the construction of this so that they can provide more security network architecture in this local government. And I want to advise the youth to be calm, to not do anything that warrant the security agents to go after them.
Similarly, representing Alimosho in Lagos House of Assembly, BC Yusuf and Lagos State APC Chairman Cornelius Ojelawi charged youths to report all security matters to the DSS for prompt action, take full charge of the DSS edifice and be law-abiding.
The sort of passion the governor of Lagos State attached to security prompted the award of this particular project, knowing fully well that without security we will not be anywhere. It is when there is security you have peace of mind. It is when there is peace of mind you think about what do I do for the benefit. I want to appreciate our governor for doing that.
Residents of Ikarama community in Bayelsa State are calling for the immediate and proper cleanup of their community following several decades of environmental pollution and degradation occasioned by oil and gas exploration activities. They made this call during an environmental monitoring training carried out by the Health of Mother Earth Foundation in the area, as they alleged that hunger and sicknesses abound in the land. Our correspondent Jesse Ese has more.
Ikarama is situated in Yanagwa local government area of Bayelsa State. Occupation of the locals include fishing and farming, but they say there has been a steady decrease in their yields since oil and gas exploration started in the area. Locals say it has heightened in the past 5 years due to alleged failure of the operators to remediate impacted areas. Most worrisome to them is the discovery of crude oil in recently dug fish ponds.
Crude has taken over the entire land. There is no crop you plant in Ikarama today that do well or we make better yield.
With the crops that I've harvested just last week, very, very tiny. Both cassava tubers are no longer doing well. Yam, same thing. Nothing is growing.
Being a victim of oil pollution, what I want from the multinational oil companies is to ensure that proper cleanup and remediation is done within the Ikarama environment. Because there are so many other areas within the Ikarama community that are very, very polluted.
Homer visits the impacted farmlands and fish ponds and expresses worry over the level of contamination.
Crops planted seeds for over a year are still stunted as if they were planted yesterday. It says a lot about what the people have to contend with. We heard that Shell has come here to take samples, soil samples at various depths, but up to this time, we've not heard about the results being released. And we want to be sure that the results should be released as they are ready. And not just NOSRA should be involved in this. The Ministry of Environment at both state and federal level should be fully involved in the process of ascertaining the level of contamination.
The oil companies operating in the community are asked to take immediate steps towards remedying the suffering of the locals.
Carry out an health audit across Ikarama and the rest of the Niger Delta. Take measures to heal the disease, to remove the disease and sicknesses hiding in the bodies of the people or already manifesting in their bodies, and then ensure that these oil spills and gas flares are stopped and don't reoccur.
When we came last year, one of my reports, I indicated that cancer has become a prevalent, ailment in this community. Where young persons are also coming down with cancer. And today you also heard it. Somebody mentioned his aunt died of cancer just about not long ago.
In the face of the incessant oil and gas industry-induced pollution, Ikarama residents seized the opportunity to call on NOSRA and other agencies of government to rise to the defense of the community before the youth resort to self-help. Jesse Ese, Plus TV News. Ikarama is...
Still to come. Liberia lawmakers prepare bill to expand access to abortion. Details after the short break. Please stay with us.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Now let's get to other parts of Africa. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Damiba vowed to hit back at attackers who carried out a massacre in Burkina Faso's northern central province last weekend, killing over 100 people. Take a listen.
Burkina Faso's leader, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, vowed to hit back at the perpetrators of an attack that reportedly claimed over 100 lives last weekend.
Soyez fort, je sais que...
Be strong. I know that we lost colleagues. But be assured that each time we lose people, our way to honor their memories is to attack the enemies.
C'est d'aller nous attaquer.
And make them pay more than we went through.
Que ce qui nous a fait subir.
His comments came on a visit to Dori on Wednesday, the capital of the northern Seno province, where the attack occurred. Unidentified assailants first attacked a military police post in Seitenga on Thursday evening, killing 11 gendarmes, the army said. 3 security sources told Reuters that after military police withdrew to regroup, armed men returned 2 days later to the unarmed security post and slaughtered dozens of civilians. Damiba also met with survivors in Seitenga, where the attack occurred. At least 100 people were killed, security and local forces have told Reuters. The death toll could be as high as 165, they added. Soldiers have recovered 79 bodies so far. The attack was the deadliest in at least a year in the West African country, which is battling an insurgency by groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. Burkina Faso's government has declared a 3-day...
From Burkina Faso, we get to Liberia, where the lawmakers are preparing a bill to expand access to abortion, which is currently subject to tight restrictions that many women circumvent through clandestine and dangerous means. A joint Senate committee began debating a bill on June 13 that would greatly expand the availability of legal abortion up to 12 weeks of pregnancy. The existing law allows abortion only in cases of rape, incest, fetal abnormality, danger to the mother's life, or risk to her physical or mental health. Medical exemptions require written approval by at least 2 doctors. In cases of rape or incest, proof must be provided in court. Otherwise, abortion is punishable by up to 3 years in prison. 15 million people in Sudan face acute food insecurity. This is the conclusion contained in the latest joint report from the World Food Programme and the Food and Agriculture Organization. Behind the crisis are the compounded effects of climate change, political turmoil, and rising global food prices.
WFP Sudan has just completed its food security assessment. Unfortunately, our worst fears have been confirmed. We estimate at this point in time that some 15 million people are going hungry in Sudan. Our projections for later in the year indicate that this might be increasing to some 18 million people. The main drivers behind food insecurity in Sudan are the economic crisis, conflict, a poor harvest, and now also the global impact and the fallout of
The Rwanda Democratic Republic of Congo crisis continues to deepen. The Congolese president headed a Supreme Defense Council to review the response to what the Democratic Republic of Congo calls a Rwandan invasion. After the meeting, the government said it considered suspending all bilateral agreements with its neighbor, accusing him of backing the M23 rebels. Rwanda and Uganda have denied for years that they support the M23 group. Rwanda's government, meanwhile, has blamed Congolese forces for injuring several civilians in cross-border shelling. Bayedem Ndaye expertly sifts through pungent heaps of rubbish dumped at the landfill where he grew up outside the Senegalese capital Dakar, setting plastic aside for recycling companies and bits of cardboard to feed his sheep. Hundreds of informal recyclers gather each day as the sun rises over the trash mountains of Ombebes, Dakar's main dump site and one of West Africa's largest, making a living from scraps of iron, aluminium and plastic.
At a Senegalese dump site, Bayedama Ndiaye shifts through the mountains of waste. Amongst what others may believe to be trash, he says he often finds treasure.
I never thought in my life I would end up working here. But when I discovered this job, I found that I enjoyed it more than I could have imagined. Other people only see the rubbish they throw away from the houses. But behind it there is more than rubbish, because it is something we care about.
Ndiaye is among hundreds of informal recyclers that gather each day at Mbobos, Dakar's main dump site, setting aside plastic for recycling companies. The trade has continued to thrive despite a 2020 ban on single-use plastics and government efforts to formalise waste collection. Ndiaye is part of a team of 120 that picks up around 3 tons of plastic per day. It is chopped into smaller pieces, washed and sold to a middleman for 4 cents per kilogram. Companies buy that plastic for between 8 and 13 cents per kilogram and then sell it to plastic producers in Dakar, such as Simpa. Simpa transforms the waste they receive into products that can be resold. Here's the company's deputy director, Khalil Hawali.
We used to recycle our own waste, but we have an overcapacity of production, so we took this opportunity to buy waste from outside to help reduce pollution in the country and create a circular economy to have a country that is much cleaner. Because unfortunately, it's a bit sad to say, but we see plastic waste everywhere, so we try to bring our contribution to help cut pollution in the country.
The landfill has also given Ndiaye other opportunities. In his 7 years of work in Mbobos, he has set aside enough money to breed sheep on the roof of his home. Bulks up their feed with cardboard from the dump. He says that living by the landfill has had its advantages.
Now get outside Africa. A Turkish drone strike today killed 4 Kurdistan Workers' Party militants and injured 1 in Iraq's northern province of Sulaymaniyah. The 5 people were driving their vehicle in the town of Kalar at around 6 a.m. GMT when the drone strike hit them. There has been a long-running Turkish campaign in Iraq and Syria against militants of the PKK and the Syrian Kurdish YPG militia, which are both regarded as terrorist groups by Ankara. Russia struck the southern Ukrainian city of Mykolaiv with missiles this morning, killing 2 people and wounding 20, including a child. The attack damaged 4 residential buildings and an infrastructure facility. Video released by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine today showed emergency service workers at the scene putting out the fire and providing aid to residents. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin said today in a speech to the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum that Russia was not to blame for rising prices on the global grain market. Putin accused the United States of driving up food prices by printing money and snapping up food on global markets. Putin said that Russia stood ready to boost its exports of grain and fertilizers, and that Russia would send food exports to Africa and the Middle East. President Vladimir Putin today delivered a combative speech at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, saying that Russia's economy had weathered Western sanctions imposed after weathered the storm of Western sanctions imposed after Moscow's intervention in Ukraine. Putin accused the United States of treating other countries as colonies and said gloomy forecasts for the Russian economy had not been fulfilled. Amid a lengthy denunciation of the United States and its allies, Putin said nothing will be as it used to be in global politics. Stella Assange, the wife of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, said today that she would appeal Britain's decision to approve his extradition to the United States to face criminal charges. We're going to fight this. We're going to use every appeal avenue, she told reporters. I'm going to spend every waking hour fighting for Julian until he is free, until justice is served. British Interior Minister Priti Patel today approved the extradition of Assange to the United States to face criminal charges, bringing his long-running legal saga closer to a conclusion.
Well, it's very difficult to describe what it's like as a family. Our resolve is redoubled for every decision that is taken, which is a travesty. I mean, I have no words to express what it's like to see the UK process being used as a way to prolong Julian's suffering.
Up next, ECOWAS to launch single currency ECHO in 2027. That's in business news after this short break. Please stay with us.
Welcome to Business Reports. I am Justin Akadonye. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has announced new plans to combat the nation's forex crisis as the Apex Bank is looking beyond monetary policy measures to deal with the challenges. Speaking at the maiden biannual non-oil export summit in Lagos, Emefiele described the RT200 FX program recently unveiled by the bank as one of such strategies. He listed value-added export facility, non-oil commodities expansion facility, non-oil FX rebate scheme, dedicated non-oil export terminal, and biannual non-oil export summit as the 5 pillars anchoring the program. Meantime, the Director General of the National Automotive Design and Development Council, NADDC, Jelani Aliyu, has called on African countries and research institutions to promote and adopt electric vehicles. Aliyu, who made the call at a 3-day workshop staged by the UN Environment Programme, UNEP, which held at the UN Africa headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya, also said that the continent needed electric mobility more than other parts of the world. Aliyu spoke as a guest speaker at the workshop themed Shifting to Efficient and Zero-Emission Vehicles in the Global South, and urged participants that the industry would not grow from importation alone, but by developing homegrown technology. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is set to launch its single currency, the ECO, in 2027. The president of ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Cassibro, who disclosed this while delivering a report of the Commission at the ongoing 2022 Fourth Ordinary Session of Parliament in Abuja, said that the process of launching the single currency was stalled due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, as countries needed to focus on handling the disease. Brew explained that the convergence criteria had to be thorough so that when the currency is implemented, it will serve the citizens effectively. Now, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, has taken delivery of additional mobile assets for enhanced maritime security in its Deep Blue project, as 2 unmanned aircraft system, 9 interceptor patrol boats and 10 armored vehicles were added to existing assets earlier procured by the federal government. NIMASA DG Dr. Bashir Jamo, who made this known in a statement issued in Lagos, said that the additional equipment would improve on the gains recorded in securing the Gulf of Guinea, further check piracy and other maritime crimes, and generally secure the Nigerian maritime domain. He described the recently held Gulf of Guinea Maritime Collaboration Forum in Abuja as a success in rallying international support in the suppression of maritime insecurity. Now, shares across the Asia-Pacific region slid on at opening as worries about economic uncertainty weighed on markets following numerous interest rate hikes around the world this week. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 opened down 1.68% at 25,988.20, while Australia's S&P ASX 200 index opened lower, falling 2.3% to 6,439.4 points. U.S. Federal Reserve policymakers are now less confident than at any time since the height of the pandemic about what will happen with the economy. That's according to data. And that's Business Reports. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching.
Entertainment News is up next. Stay with us.
And in entertainment, US actor Kevin Spacey has been given unconditional bail after appearing in a London court on 4 charges of sexually assaulting 3 men. The hearing was largely taken up with submissions from the prosecution and the defense about whether Spacey should be granted bail. At the end of the 28-minute hearing, Spacey was asked to stand as the Deputy Chief Magistrate Tan Inkram granted him unconditional bail ahead of his next appearance at Southwark Crown Court on the 14th of July for a plea and trial preparation hearing. U.S. Museum has denied claims that an iconic Marilyn Monroe's gown was left damaged after Kim Kardashian wore it at the Met Gala last month. But the gown's owner, Ripley, said a calculated risk was made in allowing the dress to be worn and it was not damaged in any way. Monroe wore it when she sang Happy Birthday to President Kennedy in 1962. Beyoncé has announced the arrival of a long-awaited 7th studio album, Renaissance, the megastar's first since 2016. The streaming service Tidal announced on Twitter the album would land July the 29th. The blockbuster singer's website also showed what appeared to be a new solo album available for pre-order alongside with Renaissance-related merchandise. Popular Nollywood actor and singer Moses Armstrong has been arrested by men of the Akwa Ibom State Police Command for allegedly defiling a 16-year-old girl. Confirming his arrest, the national president of the Actors Guild of Nigeria, Emeka Rollas, described the case as a very serious one. He said, it is being handled by the First Lady of the State, Mata Udom Emmanuel, through a family empowerment and youth reorientation path initiative, and that the accusation was a sad development as it involved one of their own. And that's all in entertainment. I am Ifeoluwa Oshunke.
Before we go, we still have some sports news for you. FIFA President Gianni Infantino says he expects soccer to be the biggest sport in North America in time for the 2026 World Cup, as the host cities for the tournament in the United States, Canada, and Mexico were announced on Thursday. FIFA announced the 16 cities, 11 in the United States, 3 in Mexico, and 2 in Canada, that were successful from the 22 bids put forward in a special event at the Rockefeller Center in New York. However, there was no indication where the opening game of the final would be played.
Is also the sport of course, of the immigrant, of the inclusion, of bringing people together. And in this part of the world, we have 500 million people living, and of this 500 million, probably 500 million has some origins of somewhere. And with 48 countries coming and playing this World Cup, it will be amazing. And the level which football or soccer will have here in North America by that time, and at the latest with that World Cup, will be at a completely different level.
First and foremost, we haven't even started that process yet. I mean, we've been laboring at the last 4 years with venue visits to get to this point. There'll be a whole nother process to pick, and it's not just the final. There's a lot of big matches, knockout matches, the opening match, obviously the final. So it's not just that.
And the main news again. Bola Tinubu and Peter Obi have submitted names of their running mates to INEC. All is now set for Ekiti governorship election, CSO raises concern over violence. Sudan is facing acute food insecurity. That's the news now. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Tolu Ojomi. Thanks for watching, and do have a good night.